All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Lunch Hour VR. I'm your host, Max Knorr, as per usual, and I'm here with a very special guest today, Dylan Shah. He's the founder and the CEO of Your Fitness. So thank you so much for joining us today. And yeah, who are you? What should we know?
Yeah, for sure. Well, at a high level, congrats on really kicking off this lunch hour VR podcast. I think, if people are listening, I don't know if people are watching it as well as listening, but if people are just listening, I'm sitting in Spatial Ape with Max right now, and so this is a pretty wild experience. And so by background, I'm sitting in Southern California right now wearing a Quest 2. And yeah, thanks for the invite. This was kind of unexpected, but yeah, I mean, I can dive in. I have a background in programming since I was 13 years old, a long steeped history in sort of health and fitness, in particular, sort of how preventative health works to kind of service our needs without going too into sort of the regulated or interventional kind of approaches that you might find in pharma or biotech. And I spent the last 7 or 8 years focused on VR and AR technology and figuring out ways to sort of assist in that sort of purpose. And I actually think the reason why I'm on the show actually is just because I reached out to you on Twitter about your recent donation. So really kind of just, I'm happy to unpack more about myself and how YUR came to be as we get into it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, I was very appreciative of you reaching out.
Sure.
Quick shout out to the donations. We're collecting hardware donations to send to Uganda, which is where I currently am at the moment. So VR headsets, AR headsets, mixed reality, development computers, really anything that could help make these technologies more accessible. So anyone who has anything extra laying around, feel free to DM me. Dylan has been an incredible human being participating in this, and that's how we got here. So very serendipitous.
Very serendipitous, but also really topical, right? Because I think there's something you're tapping on. Not only is it a good cause for the community in Uganda, but I think if you've been in the VR space for a good amount of time, it's pretty common that you have multiple generations of headsets from the years of sort of development work. So I literally have a box of just kind of like development kit hardware, be it from Windows Mixed Reality or I even have a Fove, which I never really used. And then, so eye tracking actually. So eye tracking was built into that back in the day and just back in the day as in 2015. But so that's there. And then I've got the Vive. But I think you're touching on something really important, which is kind of the upcycling of, perfectly good hardware that's just becoming obsolete so quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate that. It was a really quick brainstorming idea with some friends here that snowballed into a giant giant organized effort. So yeah, I appreciate that, and it's with that I'll sort of gear it back in your direction.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm
No
curious
worries.
to hear how you got into the health space, sort of what interested you and prompted you to enter that world.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, and so I'm both my parents are from East Africa, and sort of Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, and sort of Zanzibar. And my family is by background Gujarati Indian, and a lot of us are in our family tree are actual doctors, right? So steeped in that culture of growing up around actual medical doctor practicing clinicians, I kind of thought that I was going to be in healthcare no matter what. But it just turned out by the age of 13, I knew that I really liked video games. I really liked programming. And so at a high school level, I was kind of already tinkering with those things. And then I was also really athletic, just by way of my parents putting me into sports and stuff like that, individual. And it just so happened that I think while other people in my family tree went after being practicing physicians, I started to see how through electronic health records, the digitization of our cells, quantified self, but even our records or medical records, right? When you go to see a doctor, we're slowly becoming more and more ingested by data and software. So that was kind of my first job out of college, was working on electronic health records. And I was thinking I was going to go into sort of the medical field like that and sort of see how I can make an impact. And you know what? I may end up doing that later on in life. We'll see. But really what ended up happening was the DK1 and sort of the Samsung Gear VR like really captured my attention. And so like kind of got into tinkering around with VR in evenings and weekends. And that kind of became more of my professional interest. Not to say like that it was an immediate clue to me that like VR for health and wellness was going to be a thing. But I immediately tried to apply my curiosity in VR and AR to health and wellness. So I have like kind of a laundry list of projects that I've done. And then eventually it just kind of bore itself out that gaming was going to be the major use case for a while. And oh, by the way, like as you can see around us, like, you know, fitness is going to become a thing here. And I think it's now pretty indelible. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. So you owned a DK1.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. So I'm curious to sort of learn more about that. And when you first started using VR, like what were your ideas about where it was going to go? I know you just mentioned you were thinking probably video games for at least a while, but where was your brain taking you inspirationally back then? Yeah.
I mean, I think the VSync and just like in general, like some of the, the judder and frame drops, like were things that like didn't really get to me. As individuals, we all have different tolerances for like nausea, and I just didn't have that, right? So I could really have a high tolerance for like early content. So it was like super captivating for me. But then also the SVVR community in the Bay Area was really good at like inculcating a sense of like steeped history. Like, yes, this is the Renaissance, but there's actually a pretty clear like, history of trying to do this. And it wasn't until compute became more available and some of these hardware factors became more accessible that this new Renaissance was possible. So the initial ideas were kind of it felt like kind of the NES, like playing my older cousin's NESs as a kid. You kind of expect the applications to be somewhat rough around the edges, but then you still kind of get a sense of the core game mechanic or so forth. And I think when I really started to have ideas about how this might be used, it was the Samsung Gear VR and Asper, which was like, you're still in a 3 degrees of freedom headset at this point. And the controller is like little wand, kind of it encouraged a sense of imagination, because even with very simplistic environments, you could sort of traverse environments really, really nicely, and then also do things like mind control, right? So there was a bit of an open space. And some of the initial ideas, I think in 2015, I was a part of a project called Recall, had to do with spatial memory and recall, right? So my interests were like, okay, human biology and how we remember things. There's something called the method of loci you may be familiar with, also known as colloquially the memory palace. And so that was like one of the initial ideas that we had for use of VR. It's like, okay, can I tokenize information from like something that I'm trying to learn outside of VR and then generate a virtual reality environment that would help me memorize that content better?
Interesting.
So like you can see that there's a bit of just an innate and raw curiosity there, because that has nothing to do with health and fitness really. But it was like kind of one of my first projects. And we really took that quite far with a team of us at USC's Game Pipe Lab. And that even eventually resulted in a SIGGRAPH presentation.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And I think, there are a couple of apps that are trying to do something similar to this now, but still really interesting.
Yeah, I love those ideas. And I think it's super cool that you were thinking in these ways, so early on in virtual reality development. So cheers to you.
I don't want to I don't want to sort of portray here that also like it was going to be like one way that virtual reality applications were going to stick. Like my curiosity was really broad. And I even thought that it was really cool how Matterport was already scanning real estate for like practical purposes to show, environments and houses and stuff like this. And I was imagining, okay, like now I've got this headset and it's just my phone. isn't this like totally the future of how we're going to look at property? Stuff like that had crossed my mind at the time, because that at least you would traverse through those little waypoints that they had. Waypoint design was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, what do you think about locomotion in general and like current state of the art of? So waypoints used to be kind of like the predominant thing for 3 degrees of freedom.
Yeah.
But like now you have in spatial you have like joystick or you have teleporter.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, where do
I
you
mean,
think that's
for
going?
me, I mean, in environments like this, I think it's going to be really interesting. I know that there are some companies like Cat VR who have really, really gotten down the sort of locomotion pad. I don't know what to call it, but you know, they
Yeah.
went from like these ginormous omnidirectional treadmills to this little mat that you can like roll up and put into your backpack. So that's very cool. And I'm also really intrigued and excited to see where we go with 6DoF within 360 video and 180 video. I know multiple people are working on that, like Huawei. My own company, we have an entire research lab built for 6DoF research. So yeah, I mean, for me, like 6DoF in 360 video is going to be a huge upgrade to the VR industry.
Yeah, so that's super interesting because obviously, and I was just talking to someone over at YouTube who was a part of the JUMP program and like sort of the array of cameras that they used to put together before they closed down GVR. And they seem to have like the GoPro setup and those rigs for 360 capture down, invested a lot of resources there. So I was actually really surprised to hear you say that 360 video would be part of traversal. I mean, I know like sort of what the appeal is because you get the photorealism, but capturing content, do you see that that's going to become easier or no, not really?
I will not use the word easier.
Okay, fair enough.
More possible, I'll use that.
Yeah.
It's I'm sure
good.
you're familiar.
It's good to know.
Process this is / can be,
Yeah.
no one even knows successfully yet.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
it used to be the case where like you literally had to like find the vertical slices and align like sort of different images around that using software, like going in and actually clicking and dragging the separate images together, using different algorithms to actually blend those different captures together across the array of cameras. But
Right.
yeah, it's a lot of algorithms do those on the fly, but so that
Yeah, I mean,
certainly
if
makes it
you-
easier. Sorry.
If you ask me, I'm not super up to date on the technical side.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I show up and I say this works or this doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
No, totally.
That's-
I totally, and I would say that's more like the consumer lens that we need for this technology
Yes.
oftentimes. So that's super awesome. But I would say sort of unpromptedly sending us in one direction, which is just like why you are, the company that I've built with my co-founder Six and my team has managed to build sort of a community around fitness and VR. That has been perplexing because it's something that's been really rock solid through many generations of VR at this point. I wouldn't say many, but just we saw the bridge between PC to standalone VR. And still, like, there's people on both ends of that spectrum that, use VR for fitness. And like, many, if not all of the games that they use have been around for a while now. So it's like curious. It's a curious thing. And I think that like locomotion is intrinsically tied to it. This idea of using fitness and virtual reality together. I just don't know what that is yet. Like what is going to be the solving point for that?
Interesting. Okay, I want to backtrack a little bit if that's
Sure.
okay, and then we're gonna return to this point
Yeah.
in a little bit. I wanted to ask you if you can sort of put your finger on it. What was the pivotal moment for you where your brain made, synapses, connections between VR and fitness, and you decided, I want to do this?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, obviously, you know, obviously there's years and years of kind of like steadfastly working out as an individual and taking interest in fitness at a really deep level. That, I think, we can just, like this coffee cup, set that aside completely and end up being completely useless, right? Because a lot of the people who use VR right now just use it for gaming. And so I think that the coffees that Six and I would have in San Francisco when we were starting the company, they kind of led to this early validation through VR Fitness Insider and other publications, even VR Scout, which I was, you know, closely affiliated with when I lived in LA, that people were using just normal games, and like, you know, there were success stories of like people sweating in VR. And like one thing I really like about it is just that from first principles, you can tell that there's like a, you know, an exertion that's happening, right? Because you're sweating in the headset. And like the hardware is going to get better, and the sweat that's actually, you know, it's a repercussion of the headset on your face rather than the exertion, hopefully will dissipate over time. But it was kind of clear, right, that like Beat Saber, among others, were, you know, pretty significant workout. But Definitely. Like if I had to put my finger on one particular thing, it's a little bit blurry. Hopefully that answered your question now.
Definitely. Blurry is okay.
Yeah, for sure. Kind of like the resolution of the HMDs at the time. Just kidding.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about the journey that you took from the, I guess, the day or the period, the era of time in which YUR was founded, and sort of where you are today?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, so basically, you know, we had started with Beat Saber concretely, and so Beat Saber has a pretty robust, you know, modding community, and the sort of MVP, to use a startup term, was just like a mod for Beat Saber. And at that point, you know, Boost VC and sort of the Venture Reality Fund come in after seeing sort of pretty wide scale adoption of that. And sort of the go-to-market was like, okay, you know, focusing on this one proven out concept that clearly people wanted this product around quantification of self, but then making it agnostic to games. And so obviously there's like a lot of discussion that happens there about how to go about doing it. I think the first thing we did was try to apply ourselves to Unity as just an SDK. But the problem that you have there in that sort of landscape is just like, you know, you have to like sort of evangelize the use case, because at this point in time, VR for fitness is not super well known. And then, you know, you have to make sure the developer's happy with sort of the integration time. And that wasn't super fast, right? So we ultimately went down to the OpenVR API and sort of built out the sort of application that you can download from Steam now. And then over time, brought that to Quest, which is currently actually archived and not live. But, you know, this last year has been a lot about, in particular the last calendar year till now, has been a lot about listening to the community. Actually paring back features that we over-engineered to the point that they were like really flexible, but not so consumer friendly. And, you know, so now we have like a really robust challenges system that's like very easy to get going with. And people were constantly asking us things like, when can I get my wearable like Fitbit to sync in with YUR? And so we did some broad scale, you know, Bluetooth integration with the desktop app to allow for real-time heart rate in any app. But beyond that, now what we're really thinking about is just kind of like syncing into, you know, over 300 wearables and wellness sources. So let's say you don't have a virtual reality headset, or let's say you don't have even a watch, like a wearable watch, but you have a phone. Well, you can do step count, you can do, certainly you can do mileage per day. And how do those things incorporate into the sort of the core game design, which is modeled after MMOs? And so that's kind of like our current incarnation, where you can kind of sync all of these different sort of fitness sources to the mobile app and go from there.
Very cool. Very cool. And I wanted to ask you, sort of when you were in the early stages of formulating YUR, do you think the industry was ready for what you created? And how are you feeling about that today?
Yeah, no, I think sort of, similar to like sort of early cycles of the smartphone, you have certain applications that are sort of pushing the boundaries of what's capable on device, and there's certain limitations and so forth. And like, I think that certainly right now, there's open VR and open XR, and sort of that particular layer is quite malleable and open, and so accessible for use cases like this. In that regard, it was quite achievable what we did. I think over time we're seeing more and more apps, like even Ready Player Me, which we're all using right now, that are clearly, like, Max, it basically took me like all of 2 minutes to drop a Ready Player Me avatar in here before this.
Very efficient.
So I think we're more ready now, just to give you an upshot answer. But even still, for like our use case of like tracking any game or any application, I think there's still work to be done on sort of capacity and load management. Some sits with a chipset manufacturer, some sits with the operating system, some sits with the application design. For example, like you actually have to have like VR mode enabled whenever you build something in Unity or Unreal to take, kind of focus control over some of these systems. And like our app was like one of the first apps out there that had utility to provide, but wasn't going to take that VR mode. And like, I don't quite think there's so many use cases out there for that there's robust enough support for it. So to keep it real, like I think we still have some evolution to happen, but I definitely look at what Ready Player Me is doing, and like also what we're doing with the YUR watch as promising.
Yes, absolutely. So can you tell us a little bit about how you're feeling towards YUR for the future, as well as, more generally fitness and virtual reality, what we may expect?
Yeah, totally. I think one thing I've been really clear about from my Twitter as well is that like, the continuum of virtual reality to mixed reality and therefore AR is becoming just more and more public. Like, I think we all kind of in this industry have postulated that with the cameras for tracking inside out, this was going to happen. But I think the next 2 to 3 years are really going to look a lot like virtual reality devices becoming able to do, virtual augmentation or, augmented virtual reality. So, on that mixed reality continuum. And I think that like for the future of our company, we really look at ourselves as like kind of the fitness tracker for the metaverse. And like, I really avoid throwing the term metaverse around a lot, because everything has been very concrete up until this point, right? Like we're building concretely for Unity, we're building concretely for this. But it is the term that a lot of folks who are thinking broadly about the different technologies and how they're coming together, that best encapsulates what I kind of see happening, which is people having multiple touch points with one company or one organization or one individual across different platforms, right? And so YUR is on Android, iOS, and then all these virtual reality and augmented reality platforms, and then now wearables, right? And now other connected fitness sources. And so I think that's kind of the bread and butter for us, is kind of interstitially bringing those sources together and doing something that's magical and motivating for the individual.
Beautiful. Great answer. Very well spoken.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I wanted to open it up to you guys in the audience. Does anyone have any questions for Dylan about virtual reality and fitness tracking, or founding, a VR startup, any of these things? Just feel free to raise your hand. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. I think we all need some real coffee.
Playtest VR.
Oh, okay, cool. I can't hear.
I can't hear you. No. Dang. Well,
it's funny because we can like read your body language, that you're just like, oh, whatever with your hands.
Well, now.
Sorry about that.
You might be muted.
All right.
Can you hear me? I have a question.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Go for it.
Zach?
Okay. What advice would you give to somebody else who was interested in starting, or if it's your early days? What?
Yeah.
consequences did you have, trying to get it started?
With getting it started.
Good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my previous business before this was a consulting company that really I was doing software engineering in Unity, building up, industrial solutions for VR and AR, but using Unity. So the difference between this experience of my own with YUR and that experience was, one was a services business, and this one is more about providing, something scalable and something product oriented with, a lot more underpinnings of scalability. And so there is nothing that I've read that stuck with me to the point that was going to sort of adequately prepare me to do this. Not even, some of the logistics of setting up the previous company. But what did help a lot was just having continuous focus and interest on specific things in my life that I was very passionate about. Those were namely fitness and then virtual reality. I was obsessed with virtual reality for the last 8 years, right? So, eventually through that and attending meetups like SVVR, you're going to meet people that stick with you and recognize that you have certain innate interests. Maddie Callender at Boost VC was one of those. Six was one of those people who kind of recognized that I had this sort of passion. So I do think that what you're doing with this space and what Spatial Ape is building, bringing us together is so, crucial because we're missing that now. So going out of your way to say hi to folks, but also just kind of pursuing your curiosities will kind of, I think, chart the course for you. And then more concretely speaking, there are a lot of different topics that you can read up on about the initial checks to kind of get you going as well.
I think it's interesting because VR is still considerably and relatively such a new industry.
Yeah.
But, in my experience, if you're willing to put the work into, being active on social media, going to meetups, meeting people, you can get any question answered, within seconds if you're just putting that work in. So, for me, the VR community has just been so exceptionally supportive and knowledgeable, and everyone is just so willing to share what they've learned and their experiences so that you don't have to have such a hard time.
Yeah, and there's so many just unique individuals in this space as well, so everyone's going to have a different answer to that question. And I hope that it was somewhat insightful, but I also wanted to point out that I was in San Francisco, and there was the Silicon Valley virtual reality community kind of co-located there. So I do feel like you had the benefit of multiple years of just kind of marinating in other people's curiosity too, and that also leads to a certain type of thoughtfulness.
Yeah, absolutely. Location is key.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a small world. I'm actually down in the Monterey area.
Oh, nice. That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Very
should take
cool.
more advantage of the meetups up there and such.
Definitely.
Yes,
I'm
I'm
happy
sure
to
they've
follow
been-
you as well on this.
Yes, please, everybody follow each other. This is also Dylan's very first time in Spatial Ape, so give him a warm welcome and give him a follow. And where can we find you on social media if anybody wants to follow up with you on Twitter or somewhere else?
Yeah, it's probably best to just go visit, either Max's Twitter or the Spatial Ape or Lunch Hour VR Twitter, and just kind of click on. I think my Twitter is there. It's Dylan_Shaw, but also the YUR Twitter account I think retweeted this, so you can find us there. But I would just encourage everyone, if you click on my avatar, I think you can click on the Discord icon. And that's really kind of where the community is on Discord. So that's probably the best place.
Beautiful. Amazing. Well, we're actually out of time. Didn't this go by fast?
Yeah, I mean, time dilation in VR, am I right?
Totally. These conversations always go by so quickly.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
For coming, Dylan.
It was a nice surprise. And this TV back here with all of these clips is so professional.
Nice, right?
Yeah.
There's guy. But yeah, Dylan, thank you so much for being on here. It's been really, really wonderful to learn a new perspective on a new topic that I haven't explored yet. Lunch hour, and yeah, we all appreciate it. And quick self-promotion. Guys, I am collecting extra XR hardware that's no longer being used to donate to the technology and arts community here in Uganda, which is where I currently am. So hit me up on Twitter if you have anything that you're able to donate to help build the VR ecosystem in Uganda, as well as give me a follow on social media, subscribe, YouTube, all of that good stuff, and support me on Patreon if you're so inclined. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming, and I'm stoked to see you again next week. Thank you.
Thanks. That was awesome. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. It went by so fast.
How many of these have you done already?
This is my third show. This is pretty brand new for Lunch Hour.
Okay.
But
I'm super honored to be a part of this. I feel like, yeah, I feel honored. Also, just like it was painless to get in and set this up too, which is always a good thing.
No, they've really made something amazing here.
Yeah.
And have you noticed these buttons that are at every booth where you can just like click like learn more, and then they email you information?
Yeah, that's really sharp.
This card.
Well, let's keep in touch about the donations. And I also need to follow up with you about that. So I'll just shoot you a text on Twitter via email. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Good. For coming.
Okay.
Hey, I'm leaving my guardian.
Oh, got it. All right.
He's going to MIT in the fall, and he's basically got this whole project where he's making DIY haptic gloves. And he's got like millions of people watching him on TikTok. Anyways, I was wondering if maybe I could introduce him to you, and you guys chat for a couple minutes.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think you'd get a kick out of it. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. For some reason, I
let me grab him real quick, and I'll bring him over here just so we don't get tangled in another conversation.
That's
I
our
love
game.
puzzle games.
Yeah, so we would love Peco because it's really, and we actually at the moment we have I think 17 hours of play. If you want to do all the puzzles, and then next week we are going to add a new series called In the Attic, which is 12 models of very old objects, like a very old bicycle, a key. A sewing machine, so objects you would find in your grandparents' attic, for example, and and you can play them as puzzles. So you have like pieces of this object, and you have to snap them back together. And that
you can
add,
you stay here and so you guys
many
have
hours
space.
of play.
Cool. Very cool.
And all
Hey,
the big
Lucas.
cards there.
Yeah, what's up?
You wanna come meet Jan?
Floating.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
something we do as a group of developers. Actually, we are 27 developers.
You want
VR
to
developers.
bring your
And
friend over
this,
too?
it's a collection of VR games that you can
Yeah.
buy as blind
Alex,
surprise
you want to come meet
bundle.
Jen?
You go on
Yeah.
VR collection,
Yeah.
and you
Alright,
have
let's
a
go.
random bundle, and you can buy it at 50%.
Cool, Jan.
discount. And
This
then you
is
get
Alex and
games.
Lucas, and I'll let them introduce themselves. But they're you should totally talk to these guys.
Hey guys, nice to meet you. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Hi, Jan. Yeah. You can go first, Lucas.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen before, but I've been working on a project to make like do-it-yourself VR haptic gloves, like that you can build yourself at home.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah.
How? What's it based on? Is it with force feedback or just haptic vibrations? Or tell me more about it.
Yeah, so it originally was just a finger tracking glove, so I had like potentiometers like attached to strings on each finger. But now I've recently been adding servo motors for force feedback, and most of like the functionality is through like a OpenVR, SteamVR driver, and now we're like working on modding it into different games and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, we worked together with a team a few years back at Rice University on a haptic glove, but we were using basically water pressure it's hard to explain. We have a patent on it. We didn't do anything with it because it's hard to commercialize. And it may be better today. This was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago. So that's really neat. Yeah, I'm sure your glove is much better than what we did back then. So really neat.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely still not perfect. Like, I still have a lot of ambitions and things I want to add to it. But it's definitely a very fun project and really exciting to work on.
Wow, congrats. Is it on your, do you have a website? Lucid VR, is that what it is, or?
Yeah, so Lucid VR is like the name of the project. So I have like lucidvrtech.com has like, it links you to like a build blog page. But I also document like a lot of the process on like YouTube and TikTok. So I go by Lucas VR Tech on YouTube, and I post a lot of videos on like how to build them and like videos of updates on them and stuff like that.
Yeah, Justin was telling me you have you said millions of followers on TikTok. Is that right?
Almost, right? Like a third of a million right now on TikTok.
Sure, that's great.
Yeah, and then on YouTube we're at 100,000, which is pretty exciting.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
That's fantastic. And you're going to, did you mention to me, you're going to MIT next year, is that right?
Yeah, that's it. I'm going to be flying there actually in like a month.
Gotcha, yeah, next year meaning like next school year, I guess, September or August,
right.
I guess. Yeah, wow, congrats.
Thank
cool.
you.
Awesome. And where are you guys based out of?
I'm in Florida.
I'm in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, got it. Yeah, nice. We're in Austin, Texas.
Nice.
Yeah.
You want to introduce yourself, Alex?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Alex. I'm working on VR shoes. So another VR locomotion, do-it-yourself VR locomotion, and they're shoes that you wear.
Getting
And
some feedback from you.
I mean, I can send you. If
No
you
worries, no
click
worries,
on-
no worries.
I'm not sure if I have to click on myself.
Omni One.
My profile.
Justin, our,
Yeah, if
Jan and
Right.
Lucas over.
if you click on up there on the
Yeah, there is
on the
chat
VR workout booth, I think you will get an email with
Okay.
my contact over
Right.
there, also to your right,
Yeah.
I'll do
in the VR workout booth.
There must be a lot of
Does it
overlap
have,
though between those two
motorized,
scenes. No?
Doesn't seem doesn't seem so at the moment.
And
Must
if
have gone
you
through
contact
50
me,
Daniel,
versions by
what's,
now,
um,
and
you
a lot
contact
of
me, then I'll
beginners
send you a link.
What are
Because
you
all
guys
the
working on
content
there?
is at the- it's a bit-
passive,
Well, we
so
said
it has
we started like yes, ago
because
to
the
the
latest
They said a lot
development
of
it works quite well, so it has
Our-
everything in it.
there's
Our
a
It
stopper
has,
mechanism so that
Hey, Zach.
for exercise in
Oops.
general.
yeah, basically
Hi.
everything works except
Like-
for
And
heart rate,
working for
uh,
clients,
God,
something
how
like
are
that.
you?
stop.
I'm not.
Gotcha.
Exercise.
Ellen, where are you from?
With,
I'm Canadian. Yeah, so I'm from Ottawa,
Yeah.
Canada.
I haven't seen your game. I'm just new here.
And I'm a narrative designer in VR. So me and a team were working on immersive theater for virtual reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's our challenge. That's our problem set. So it's like a mix between. I mean, there's game elements and there's game mechanics, but it's the audience can interact with a live actor and kind of participate in emergent storytelling in that way. So that's kind of our ambition, really.
Race. And
cool.
you have to.
And so, what tool do you like?
so
Build
cool.
your own tools for that, or I mean, there is lots of challenges. So how do you address that?
Absolutely. So we're trying to build our own tool. And it's a tool that will basically enable that kind of like emergent and participatory like theater within virtual reality. So like the stage management aspect is completely absent right now from whatever's like commercially available. So there's definitely a gap there. But the challenge is really can you produce content that people actually want to see. That's why people are going to seek out the
against the ground,
or seek out.
and my ground I'm in the basement,
I do
it's a
think
cement
on-
floor, and they don't break. So I got to try stuff like that out. I got to try to minimize it out and see how passive works, and a lot of stuff. And then I'll go back to the motors once I figure out all that stuff.
Yeah, excellent. Well, very, very nice to meet you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jan.
That's terrific. Do you guys come here every week, or this is my first time here? It's really, really neat.
I've been here twice. This is my third time. And Lucas, not sure about you.
I come here like I try to come every week. I miss a few weeks here and there, but there's definitely some really exciting stuff in here that's going on pretty often.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah,
Hey guys, nice to meet everybody.
Hello.
I'm sitting down on a chair, so
right.
I'll probably my avatar probably looks pretty low, no?
Good.
A little bit.
I'm sitting on a chair too. I'm not sure why I'm up
I
higher.
calibrated while I was standing up. That's
I
probably
feel higher too. I
might do
don't
it.
know something, huh?
Yeah, you're extra tall.
Yeah.
I am. I'm sitting down, eh?
But we got
Which is interesting.
like
Yeah.
Lucas
Okay.
and I have booths over there, like way over
Must be
there.
avatar
If
related.
you're interested in.
Yeah, I want to go see. Is it the
visuals.
workout booth or behind it?
Yeah, we have like a hardware section.
I'm still
like,
downloading avatar.
way in the back.
Here we go.
So
Oh,
yeah, if
okay.
you get
Can
a
we,
chance,
can we go
please.
check it out? Can we go check
Yeah,
it
we
out?
can go now if you want. Sure.
Oh, let's go. Let's do it.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's just right this.
Since you probably did something
Hello,
Hello,
you
guys.
guys.
Well,
And
you
I
run it
forgot,
as
because
it
with
is.
cast
I look
plus
at-
audience, you
I
run
was
into like
explaining
limitations in your VR
I
world,
prefer
right?
walking.
So,
Lucid VR. Here we go. Yeah. Wow, very neat. Interesting. Yeah, I'll check out your website right after. Here we go. Very neat.
So I'm guessing this
Yeah.
device takes the place of the controllers?
Yeah, so for the positional tracking, you can either like just stick a Vive tracker on it, or you can just use the controller, like strap it on the back of the glove. That way, it actually like knows where your hand is. But then the rest of it, all the inputs and the finger tracking, like you add buttons and joysticks on it and stuff like that. Those are all done by the glove.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I've been
very
looking for
cool.
different ways of doing haptics for my game because I've got some body haptics. So I'm looking into some of the more commercial, like wearables, and this is interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's certainly not commercial yet, but
Well, of course, but it is
Yeah.
it is a good idea, I think.
oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Cool.
Should we hop over to the?
I'm supposed to talk somewhere, so not sure where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah, my booth's right there next to it. If you want to come back, but
Yeah, let's do it now. Let's take a look.
Oh, okay.
and
I've seen this on several Reddit posts in the past.
yeah, one Reddit post blew up to 100,000 likes.
Nice.
And that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, it shows
But-
enthusiasm.
You can see like I got a few different pictures of it, different versions that I've worked on. One in the upper right, one's a really big, bulky one, but that had omnidirectional wheels, and upper left is another less bulky one, but still bulky, but it only went in one direction. And then the bottom left is what I've been working on now, where it's just passive and it has the stoppers and so on. And then the video shows a little bit of all of those things. And the bottom right picture is the support rig that I've been working on and just got good enough yesterday. It's working pretty well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, impressive. Well done.
Well, you got to live up to the name.
Finally functional.
Yeah, my wife and I were trying to think of a name, I don't know, a year and a half ago. And she came up with that, and I was like, I love that.
Yeah. I like it. Wow. Impressive. And the wheels right now are just unidirectional, or are you going back to omnidirectional?
Right now they're uni, but the upper middle picture is one idea I have for making an omnidirectional passive shoe and maybe
problem.
motorize it later. But
Hey, Jesse.
How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
I
How
don't
are
know
you?
if you can see it very well.
Doing
It's kind
well.
of blurry, but those wheels would
Are you dropping
would be
frame rates some in
omnidirectional.
here?
I need to put it together.
I
and
have
see how
only
well
just
it
got
work,
in
but
here.
that's
I've not
Okay,
noticed
something
any
I'm going
frame
to
rate
try in the
drops
future
yet.
to get more
Okay,
omnidirectional
cool.
movement.
Yeah, it's only sometimes.
Would you have more control
Really?
if you
But-
have the unidirectional? Because you could kind of
The space looks
like,
great though.
plant
All the
on
booths are awesome.
one axis and move, and then slide
Yeah,
on
I'm
another.
really enjoying the new booths.
Yeah, like you don't have to worry about sliding to the side.
Like a hockey skate.
Oh, it's
you
got
can
a
kind of,
weird glitch.
You know, you have
I think I'm gonna
control
have
on
to
one edge.
Go out and back in again. Not seen this one
Yeah,
before.
but a
It's
lot,
the
a
weird
lot of people ask for, when are you going to do strafing or can it strafe? And I want to be able to do that too, and it'd be nice. And like Jan, one of the things I could ask you a bunch of questions all day, but I haven't seen anyone like any videos where people use slide
Yeah,
mills
should
where
we,
they're doing strafing. I see
shortly get
videos
going
of
if it's
people
already
who do
4:15.
running forward
yeah,
and backward really well.
I'll tell them to come over.
Either
Or
like
should we
with
just leave
yours
them?
or the
I guess we
Catwalk
need
C. I've
Jan,
seen
don't we?
Yeah,
some
we kinda
people,
do.
but I haven't seen strafing at
So
all.
maybe they can
and
just ask
I
follow-ups
haven't
in
got
his
to use
booth.
a slide mill myself. I don't have the nearest one is like 4 hours, a 4-hour drive. But yeah,
it's a good.
I'd love to try
It's
it.
a good
and
question. Yeah, you can strafe on the Omni. It works fine. It's just not a very natural movement. Like you don't really strafe in real life, like you do in video games. So people just kind of don't do it. But you can on the Omni. It's a bit, it's not the most natural movement. I mean, the Omni is already not entirely natural to begin with. You don't just. It's not just like walking on a flat, on the street or something. It's more, you step on a concave dish, and so strafing. It's more of a learned movement, if you will. But yeah, we do it here, and like our guys are in the office. But you just don't need it all that much when you're actually in VR. So it's not that big a deal if you don't have it.
Right, that makes complete sense, and based on my experience too. Like, I don't strafe much in games. The closest I would ever get is like if you're in what's that boxing game called?
Creed.
Yeah, or there's another one. But when you're in a boxing game and you want to circle around your opponent, like that's the closest I think. Like I would get to strafing.
Yeah, because
and really for strafing, you can just turn at the hips. And do that if you want to.
Yeah.
And then people ask me about jumping all the time too, and I'm like, I've never jumped in a game, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and back to just to finish off on strafing, what you do in real life is you just walk forward and look sideways, right? I mean, that you don't step sideways and look forward.
Well, actually, you do for boxing. I taken several
for boxing you do
boxing courses that you want to not cross your feet ever, so you're kind of doing this like out and back. You're not doing this because they can push you over.
That makes sense. Yeah, I was more thinking like a first-person shooter, for example, like that kind of scenario. What you kind of walk forward and go to the side, look to the side while you walk forward. That's how you do it in combat. And then jumping, jumping is tough because latency becomes an issue. With the Omni, we could detect when you jump, but there's much more. There's latency to do that. By the time you detected the jump, and then you have to translate that to a jump in the game, headsets have very low latency, which is terrific. But to mimic that in a locomotion system is quite hard. So, so we don't really do the jump with our device.
Yeah, I like showing people I can jump with mine just to show they're durable, like they can handle it. But actual jumping, and then too your headset's gonna bounce all around, and same with the strafing, your headset's gonna bounce all around it. It's really cool to hear that you kind of have a similar viewpoint because, like I said, people ask me, what about strafing? What about jumping? And what about going prone on like low on the ground? I'm like, I don't care very much about any of those things, to be honest.
Yeah,
at this
crouching is good. Like with Omni 1, but with Omni 1 you can physically jump, although we may not actually track it. But crouching is interesting. Going prone is again just it's taking it too far.
Yeah.
Would it be like true to say like a lot of those things like strafing are like a product of just the inputs that traditional like gamepad games use anyway?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. You know, and in first-person shooter games, you know, you strafe, you know, 30 miles per hour to the right while shooting. You know, real soldiers don't strafe, right? You know, they walk forward and look left or right, or shoot left or right. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
Do you guys see a big model?
Yeah, I do have it here in the middle. Yeah.
I think I'm like
mean in the
glitched because my
sky.
camera's frozen, so I think I'm gonna have to rejoin. But I will see you guys soon.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
I didn't want to.
Should we?
Maybe head back to the middle.
Yeah, because I'm not sure where I'm supposed to go.
Yeah, they usually meet up here, right where about you were.
Get some more different games.
Great, and you'll be in that booth right there for more questions in a minute. Jan, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. Oh, I'm just freezing up here. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, my screen just froze. I may have to rejoin.
Okay, we'll give you a sec.
Looks like it.
You want to restart?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on, I'll be right back.
No worries.
Yeah, restarting seems to fix that glitch.
Cool, Michael. Well, most of us know your project, but why don't you give us this little intro anyways?
Okay, so yeah, since most know me, so my name is Michael. I'm developing VRWorkout. Oh, now I'm freezing too. Yoo-hoo! Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I was mainly I'm not watching a still image, but I can still talk. So I'm developing VRWorkout.
Oh yeah. He was developing VRWorkout.
I just
Give him just a sec,
booted,
'cause we're gonna
and
sing
now
him
I'm
happy
back.
birthday.
Let's go on.
Yeah, I got the same thing. It's the new floor glitch.
Oh god.
Hey,
Singing
Julian,
on
is Peco? Is that the puzzle game?
Yeah, Peco is a puzzle game. So Mitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. So I bought it and I've played it. It's actually really fun.
It actually is really fun.
Yeah, actually, well, you know, not all the VR games are.
This is true.
Some are better than others. Oh, look, see,
Okay,
I must
Michael's
have insulted
back.
him by saying it was fun he left.
Yeah.
Michael's back. Okay.
So is Jan already back? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back right here.
You want to go first?
I'm back.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
All right, hey everyone. Thanks for this is really neat. Thanks for having me. My name is Jan Goodluck, founder and CEO of Virtuix. We make the Omni, which you can see over there in the nice booth that the organizers set up. Thanks for having me. Yeah, really neat to be at this VR meetup. So, love to talk with each of you. I'm not sure, Justin, how you want to structure it or what the format is here. But yeah, thanks for having me. Nice to meet all of you.
Okay, great. Yeah, and once we break up, Jan, you can go in your booth over there, and anyone that wants to ask you questions, especially about your recent successful crowdfunding, which I'm very interested to hear about.
Yeah, we raised $39 million to date from investors. So that's how we're still alive.
Bravo.
Started
It's
Virtuix
not
in
too bad.
2013.
I'd say,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Wow.
Okay, Michael.
Yeah, okay, so second try. So my name is Michael. I'm the developer of VRWorkout. It's basically a fitness game. Game is a wrong term. It's really a fitness app that tries to figure out what are the boundaries of stuff you can do in VR. So what are the limits that people are willing to do? What are the limits that people can do? And it's basically a high intensity workout where really, I mean, it's if you played Thrill of the Fight, it's the same intensity, but you don't punch people. So you just get really, really sweaty.
That's great. Okay, we're gonna try one new thing here before we break up, and we're gonna sing Michael happy birthday because it's his 40th birthday. Very exciting.
Bravo.
Okay, since we're all on here for VR together, we might as well. All right, everyone together. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to
Michael.
Happy birthday, dear Michael. Happy birthday.
birthday to you.
We never sing again.
Some more.
Oh, great.
I want to do a
Just
t-shirt.
on that.
Oh, he's a jolly good worker.
We should start a
I
band.
should never sing again. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
All right, we'll do a quick T-shirt before we head out. Anyone want one? Who hasn't gotten one yet? I want to see.
Oh, how
Who
does
you
that
guys
work?
already have one, but not everyone. All right, here we go. You got it. All right, one more.
Bravo.
All right, another
again.
one.
Too short.
Another one.
Am I supposed to push the button to grab it? Or just...
Nice, congrats.
Did I really? Oh, how about that? There we go. Thank you. Awesome.
I went way too long.
Yeah.
Mitch, I'll send you an email after this, and then you can pick out a shirt to get.
Awesome. I just visited your store today.
Yeah.
Right? Is that you, Jesse?
Yeah, it is.
All right. Nice to virtually meet you.
Yeah, nice to virtually meet you too. All right, should we split up to our booths and hear more about these projects?
Cool. Sounds good.
Cool.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay, let's go.
Hi. It's Michael, right?
Yeah, it's Michael.
I guess since we sung to you, I can remember your name. So I don't. So is this a Steam game or a side quest or App Lab?
So
or...
it's SideQuest, App Lab, and Steam. So it's all. It's also we have a very limited WebXR version, so you can actually try it on other non-supported headsets as well. But mainly it's Quest, since we are relying on hand tracking. So the whole thing is based on hand tracking. And the only reliable hand tracking you get now at the moment is the Quest, so which is on board. So yeah, that's the reason why it's mainly.
And
mainly
now
the
in
Quest.
Remio, I saw it in Remio today.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how cool.
We are working with Remio. We still have to figure out a few things, but we are going to be supported in Remio as well.
That is cool.
I mean, it's
Great. Well, I'll have to do a little write-up on my website, because I've got a section on the website about VR exercise, VR workouts. So I'll definitely have to play with this and give it a little bit of a write-up for sure.
Awesome. I mean, especially for Remio, I think it's quite nice, because you have in this team building things you usually have some exercise stuff as well. So it simply is good to do physical exercise and do it together, and so I guess that's a good fit.
Very cool. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
we talked last week,
definitely
so
try.
I'm gonna run off. See you, Michael. Happy birthday, my friend. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes. Happy birthday.
The game that I'm working on, I've noticed that because I'm building like a competitive fighting game, you just get a workout from doing, required actions in VR.
Yeah.
And so I think that, people have started to recognize that it is like the most engaging and physically active way to video game, right? The stereotypical sitting on the couch, 800 pounds eating Cheetos is not applicable here. You don't want to get controllers.
No,
dirty.
VR exercise, when they released the Q2, VR exercise just exploded, and I think Supernatural had a huge. They are having a huge impact, and I think it brings all the other exercise games up with it, because when you see success like that, and Supernatural is one style of game, so when you're doing that kind of exercise and you're getting benefits from it, you always tend to look for other things too. Like I play Thrill the Fight, and man, that game is rough. Like it's a fun game, but man, you get sweaty and beat up really fast.
So I always loved that about. Did you ever go to like a gym that had the workout bikes that had games on them?
You know what? I didn't. I just played. I just got on there and rode. Watched TVs.
Our YMCA had just a cycle, but it had some little like cart game where you just had to like go up and down hills to collect coins, and it would get increasingly harder depending on the plane that you were pedaling against. And so it had this really interesting system where the more valuable coins were higher up, harder to reach. And I would do that for hours, and I never sat on a treadmill or something for more than half an hour before.
Oh yeah,
so
for
it's
sure.
Just gamifying.
I play Supernatural just about every day, and when I don't play it, I want to play it. It's completely addictive, and for them, I think the key to what they're doing is not just the gamification, but the music. The music is just it really makes a huge difference. They really got something there.
I'd love if you join my Discord, try it out the game, because we have a free demo right now.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
let me do that thing with the business card thing.
So,
it doesn't say.
I don't have one.
No, you don't have one. Okay, so
I have. Yeah. I might. I have to find a way.
I don't think I have one either. But let's see. What's the best way? Well,
it's your website is listed here as efishgames.com. So.
Yeah, and the Discord isn't posted to that yet. Because we just
it shows
released...
that there is this. It shows you, but if you click follow and then you go to Spatial Ape, you log into your profile, you probably are able to visit to look more at more details.
I will try to get the I think there's a Discord link there. Is there not? Can you see one?
There is. It shows that it's an icon. There's an icon, but there isn't anything to click yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'll have to get the Discord link then.
Yeah. So, but for the music, I mean, that's actually. I think Supernatural. It's so prevalent in US because it's all US only. But outside the US, I mean, people know of it. But they actually, I think FitXR is much more of the fitness driver than Supernatural, because simply you know that it exists, but you can't actually use it.
It's very frustrating. It's limited.
And for the music, it's really, I mean, what we are doing is we are basically, we have a little bit of stock music inside the game that you can use if you don't have anything, but we're mostly relying on that you upload your own music or that you actually use a YouTube playlist, because we now integrated a YouTube player where you can, in the profile, you can add YouTube playlists, and we have a few of, I mean, we are working, we can actually map the YouTube playlist as well. So
we're integrating Spotify. We're doing very similar, because I always thought that, the difference between Pancake games and VR is that you can't or don't want to constantly take it off and change your music. So I wanted to have a control for your Spotify. So I found a plugin, hooked it up, so I'm going to have it on the hand menu.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I think there's two parts. One of it is also that, like, AppLab kind of solved a problem and also kind of was like, well, here's a more official place for all these titles releasing on SideQuest. That honestly, a lot of the SideQuest titles have helped the quest immensely, and now AppLab titles, but they don't really get main store presence. And so instead of doing what other platforms do and say, well, we're going to work with indie devs and we're going to have more of a managed program and we're going to treat them like real people, we're just going to send all these devs to AppLab, and then, like, Julian maintains this, like, 30 item or 40 item long list of every single thing that an AppLab dev has to do that a main store dev doesn't have to do, that makes it way harder for us to monetize, which is kind of the, like, goal that Oculus gave all of us, right, on AppLab, is monetize, market, and if you're popular enough, you can talk to us, repitch, and maybe you'll get on the main store. But, like, it's very difficult to do that.
Too. I've heard of people doing that where they
is that right, Julian?
Their own music and then they play the game.
That's the truth.
Like
AppLab
I played that game on high
really
level,
like a double bind, like in psychology, when you're telling someone tell you to do something, but if you do this thing, you are doing exactly the inverse of what you're like. Stop obeying me, for example. So I think AppLab is like a double bind. Please sell more, but we are not going to give you subscription, no in-app purchase, no DLC, no way to give an app when you're on AppLab. So there is a lot of limitations, and that you cannot change your price, you cannot join a bundle. So yeah, how can I market my app if I don't even have the tools that I could get on each, for example, or let alone Steam? So yeah, there is this dissonance in Oculus.
So I have to. The game has to surprise me all the
time. I mean, I think inside Oculus there is this dissonance, and there is people that really want to go to the console, Sony, maybe even like
Well, that makes
traditional
sense. You know,
console, the
and
old
really, to try to
Nintendo
compete
ways,
with
and
something that's done
outside
so well.
and there is people that
doesn't even make sense.
would
You're
like
look
to support
for
the indies
things
more.
that people
So
either,
I think there is like a conflict
either something that
inside
somebody has done
in
that's a
terms
good
of,
idea, but they
ideology.
didn't do it very well, and you can do a
But
better
anyway,
job.
so maybe
or
some
something
question about
completely different,
how VR
because
collection
then
works.
you can be
So
the
I
first
could,
one, and
like,
you can do the best
change
job.
subject and
You know, like to
get
try
started.
to create.
So is it a bit like SideQuest, I guess? How are the apps distributed on VR Collection?
Yeah, so it's not at all like SideQuest. SideQuest is really focusing on community. And SideQuest really don't want to sell anything. And they were asked, could you maybe sell the games directly, make bundle? And said, no, we don't want to sell anything. We just want to focus on promotion, ads, and community building. So that's their idea. So SideQuest is more like getting
making
some
a game around that isn't really easy. And if you already have a game, just adding, for example,
to
if you use
VR.
hand tracking.
And I think at some point they will
expand
to
quite well, so it works already quite well on the Quest 2. But if you have a game that's not designed for that and you slap it on afterwards, then it's just it doesn't feel.
So we are more like
right.
a store.
I mean, it's
like
nice, but it doesn't really feel
you
like
can,
it's
you
meant
can,
for
you
that.
can have your games
when we started back in end of 2019 when Quest came when Quest came out with the
you
hand
can
tracking,
be on VR Collection
we
and sell your keys
tried to
on VR Collection
design it around
instead
the
of
limitations
selling
that
them
you have
on
in the
each.
hand tracking.
And by the way,
with that,
the first
so
bundle
the whole
we
game
did
is really
back in
meant to
February
be played with
called
hand
the Waiting for
tracking,
App Lab bundle was
really different. So
using
from
each.
if I see the
So
videos
we made a
YouTube when
community
people
bundle,
played,
a co-op
I had a
bundle
player who was
on each
giggling the whole time.
and of 12
that's so
apps.
cool. You don't have to use the controllers,
But
and
if
you're just free. And
sell
I mean, if you do push-ups and if you do crunches and if you do
from the
burpees, then
user
you simply can't
perspective,
have
it's
the controllers.
quite
I mean, there are people
complicated
who are using
in
the
terms of UX.
controllers, but I
You
really don't
have
understand
to,
why.
you have to go,
yeah, it would be really tricky. The
each
the burpees,
game,
like I'm in. So the Supernatural
the
group
bundle
that
is
I'm
12
in, I'm in a
games, you have to go
subgroup
to
with
each
people who play
12
the game.
download
And
pages,
the guy who runs it's really he's a
redeem
fireman.
the
He's a real
keys,
go-getter. He
then
actually, I think he
go
said he lost
and
like
redeem,
70 or 80 pounds.
get the keys and then redeem them
Well, he also works out
12
too, but
times.
he lost a bunch of weight. And we're
That was
doing
not a
the
great
burpee
UX.
challenge now.
So
it'll be fun
at some point,
to
okay,
play
we
in
want
your
to do
game
more
and do
bundles
the burpees and all the other
because
things.
I think
I
bundles
think I
bundles
played
is
your
really
game
like
when
bundles
I
are
first.
fun, and
when it
bundles
was- when
are
it
a way
was
to be
on-
collective. I think
was it just
too
on
many people
SideQuest?
in
Yeah,
VR are trying to do their
I mean,
own
early days.
solo marketing
it has undergone
thing
quite some
and splitting the efforts.
Visually,
and
it did
one
change,
idea
but it
was,
didn't change
okay, let's
that
do
much
collective
because,
marketing.
I'm still
Let's
a
do
developer
the
and
marketing
not an artist.
together,
We are
so
currently
we get more interest
trying
from
to
the
get
press,
funding, so
more interest
we
from the
hope
players.
that we can
But bundles, we
polish,
all love bundles.
But at the moment, it's what
a way
you there is
it's
you
a
can
way to discover a new game.
multiplayer
So
workout,
yeah,
so you can
VR Collection was
work out
really a
with
way
other people.
to do something
Oh, that's great.
simpler
it's really awesome.
than sitting
we currently I'm doing something that I
them
removed,
together?
but I'm
Is
putting
it
back
some
in. This
kind
is
of you'll get
online.
multiplayer experiences that people are
The
using
workout,
this
and
for?
it's a random
So
workout. You can save
you'll get several of them in a room together.
before, so
I don't
you
know,
can measure yourself,
like little
but you can
pods
also
or
make it
something
an
like
online
that.
challenge
Yeah,
and
right,
send it to
versus
someone else and challenge them. And
Yeah,
they-
absolutely.
and
The
they can
commercial
choose the challenge
systems
on their own.
they can
And then
be
you have a high
in
score list
multiplayer
just for your challenge, so
configurations
you can create
over
local-
LAN.
for example,
And
if
Omni
you
Arena,
have
for
a
example, has
company,
4
you have
Omni
10 people
Omni
who want to
systems,
do
but
a,
we've sold
kind of measure
individual
themselves, then they can create a
Omnis
challenge and have
to,
a high score list just for
especially in
them.
Asia, big entertainment venues. We have
and
one
that's
venue
cool.
that has
It's
12
good ideas,
Omnis,
yeah.
linked
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
which is pretty
Because
amazing.
the problem is multiplayer.
No, with Omni
doesn't
1,
really
it's
work if
just
you don't have a user base of
online
100,000 people,
multiplayer.
because
So all our games,
if you
will,
are
most of the games will be
distributed
online
over the
multiplayer
world, then
games.
Nobody's online when you're online, so you have
So,
to have a way to
for
do it in
developers,
other
Yeah,
uses
it's
as well.
tricky.
is it possible
I
to?
play
Is there something like an
Warplanes, and there's a
SDK?
group that- there seems
Like
to be a lot of
if
people,
a
but
developer
then
is
they
purchasing the
oftentimes
home
complain that
one
they go and play and there's
to
nobody
develop
there
their
Yeah.
own little
play.
game or
And then
experience.
arranging for all of
With
that
Yep,
to
definitely.
happen.
Definitely, yeah.
So
We'll have an
actually,
SDK
so
for
my
Unity and
website,
for
the
Unreal,
HowToVR.com
and freely available, so you
website,
can just download it and
is one
and
of multiple
experiment as you
websites that
wish.
I'm
Yep.
working on building.
Awesome. And
one
is
that
there
I
also a
had
marketplace
planned
that
on-
a developer
planned
could
on
upload and then
finishing, but is
distribute
not
it
done
on
yet,
your
is,
platform?
it's called
Yeah, Initially, the marketplace or the store will be highly curated, so it won't be. It's almost like the Quest, if you will. You can't just upload your games to the Quest. No, you can sideload it, like this app here, for example. So we're not closing it off artificially, but to become an official app or game on our store, there's a bit more of a process there. to get on the
like
store.
a dating
Yeah.
app, but not for dating.
Mhm.
Right, so you
Yeah.
you want to play this game and you want to meet people
another
who like to play
question.
this game, and maybe
So like
you don't
from
wanna
from
work
my
out with
personal
somebody who's
experience with
20
my
because
VR
you're
shoes,
70,
and I've
right? So you said,
and
well, like,
people
I
on my
only really
Discord
wanna
who have
work
tried
out with
slide
people who are
mills,
my age range, and then you meet
they
those people,
anyone who likes
and
the
then you
experience
arrange to
says
meet
that
in the
you
headsets
need
at
some
certain
practice
times. So I've
to
got
get
that
used to
website
it
about
because it
90%
isn't
done, but it didn't work
completely natural. And
the way I wanted to. I wasn't
I
satisfied with it,
actually
so I
like I had a
stopped work
friend
on
and my
it.
wife try it out, and I
right
put
now
together a
focused
little
on,
guide based on my friend trying it out.
So howtovr.com
like
is
for
an
example,
information
he would
website. It's a
he would
how-to
lean
website
forward
for
a
beginners,
lot
because,
to bring his
like I
feet
said
back.
before, like
He
when
wouldn't
I looked
push
to
against
see
the
what
harness. He
websites
would
were
just lean
available
forward
for
and then fall
virtual
over.
reality, there were
And
all
then
either tech
I made sure my
websites
wife
or
didn't do that, and she did
magazine-style
really good on
websites.
the device. And
Yeah,
then
but
there were
there
some
were
other
no
tips and some other
beginners
things I
websites,
put
like
into
it
a
didn't
guide.
exist.
And that's
'Cause
kind of one of the
frankly,
things that I
before the
wish
Q2, it
I
didn't
saw
really-
out
wasn't
there
really
for
necessary,
like
but
the Catwalk
with
C
the
that's out
Q2
there right
and
now.
people my age and
I see a
older,
lot of negativity
it's
around it,
definitely a
and I think
need. So
part
I
of that
created
is
this,
because
and I even till today,
people don't
I
know
still
how to
have
get
not seen
started.
another website that's a beginner's
So,
website.
do you
The
think?
problem with it is
Are you
it doesn't
guys
make
thinking
any money.
about that? Like maybe there could be a guide.
Yeah, well,
that-
that's something we've
currently
nailed pretty
building,
well because
I'm
we have
basically done
4,000
with
of
the
these
store. I
in
haven't
commercial
launched it
settings,
yet,
and
but I'm
especially with
making
Omni
a,
Arena. Look, we're at
a
Dave and
virtual
Buster's, and
reality
those kind of
merchandise
places.
store.
Those are public companies,
T-shirts and mugs
serious
and things like that
businesses,
with designs
and
that
so
hopefully people
in a
will really-
commercial
and actually, a lot
setting,
of
we
the
have
designs
6
are very-
minutes to
like,
give
I've got
somebody
some
a great
designs
experience.
very specific to
So the
exercise.
learning curve needs to
I
be
have some designs that I
okay.
made
People just need to be
that
able
are
to do it pretty
specific
quickly.
to
The breakthrough
some of the
for
games,
us
like
is that
Supernatural,
now
'cause
every
they're so popular,
experience on
but I don't
that
have a licensing
starts with a
agreement with them
30-second
So
warm-up
I make this
app, warm-up
hint
game, if you will, or warm-up
game
exercise that just
without
teaches
some
them to walk
triangle.
forward and
Yeah, with things
has like a
that,
video of
right,
somebody
with the
doing it. It has
bats
some
and the
verbal cues,
octopus
and you
and
just
things
start
like
walking
that.
forward, and we
And
ask
the-
people to
and,
kind of
you know,
put their
I've
hands
got-
up
I've got a
like
couple
this, and
designs with the
we found out a
T-Rex
trick
arms, you know,
that
'cause
within 30 seconds we teach
right, exactly.
almost everybody how to do it properly,
so people
and
will
then they're into the
recognize those
game and they
things,
have a
but
great
they're not
time.
gonna
For
violate
example,
their
for Omni
IP.
Arena,
My hope is
we
that I
have
get-
this
they
player
get-
survey
they
that players can
see it,
fill
and
out.
they wanna
And it's
cooperate with
optional,
me
but
and
now
work with me. So
27,000
that's what I'm hoping
players
to do
have
is to
filled
get
out this
the
survey.
game developers
And one of the questions
who
is, would you
don't wanna-
play again?
like, you don't wanna make t-shirts.
98% say they would play
Right?
again.
You want to build your game.
So
So
high,
if I
higher
can,
hit rate, high success rate. So,
make
so
designs
our
that
attraction in
your
these entertainment
users
venues is
will
doing
like
really well.
and represent
And
your
partially is that we
game,
nailed this
and
this
then maybe
training
give you a
app,
little bit
if
of
you
money
will,
off
where
it, or
really we
even
teach
just
people
license and
how to
just-
do it very
I just
quickly,
want
and then they
official
do it right, they have a
approval.
great time.
Um,
We struggled with
then
that
we
for the
all
longest
benefit
time
from
because
it.
you're
I
right,
make some
Alex.
money selling the
Especially
designs, and
initially, we
you
would
make,
teach people how to do
money
it, and they
because
would
you
have a
get more
great time. But
people
if we
seeing
step away
your games,
and then have
we all-
operators or
we
somebody
all win
else do that,
way.
and they don't do that, and
So
then you see people are
that's kind of
struggling
my
on
grand
this treadmill,
plan,
and it's
but,
just not a good
I'm a
experience. It takes
solopreneur, and
it takes
I
some
don't have
getting
funding
used to,
either.
and if you don't have very
I have
clear
some funding, but
instructions
very little.
on how
Nothing-
to do it,
nothing much to speak
it may
of.
take somebody a while to figure it out, and then they don't
the
necessarily have
time
a
for
good
that
time
is
because
still
they're
to
just
come,
kind of
but I think the
flailing
time for
around
that
on it.
will
So,
definitely come because,
so it's something we figured out for the
VR is
commercial
going to
system, and
take
we'll
off
take that to Omni
quite
One.
big,
What
quite
we've learned
soon,
there. So,
and if you look at those
Yeah, that's
so yeah,
great to
for
hear.
your shoes, you could do
VR,
something similar
Facebook
where you
groups,
have a
then
kind of a
the questions
30-second
that are
warm-up
there are
app
so basic.
that shows them
Okay,
what to
there has
do.
to be a
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what
I've
is
just
it?
had people tell me
I
that
built my- I
they
built my
they bumble
website
around and they don't know what they're
VRWorkout.com. I
doing
built it
on it, and then they
almost
hate it. Yeah,
based on
like the Catwalk C,
questions asked in the Facebook
and
groups.
it's just kind of a
Because,
shame
I mean, why
when
reinvent
that
the wheel?
happens.
Why come up with my own ideas?
And
the people in the
I
Facebook
want you
groups are
I want
asking
you
the
guys to
questions, so
succeed because I want to see more
one of
stuff
the
like
things-
this
one
in the future, and yeah, I wanted to see it get more mainstream. It would be awesome if you could see these in stores one day, like like next to the gym equipment or something.
Yeah, and look, it's pretty mainstream already. You go to a Dave & Buster's, you'll see our treadmills. Not every Dave & Buster's, but some of them, or other big entertainment chains like I think Lucas, you're in Florida, like Andretti's or whatever. So it's pretty mainstream, and we have thousands of people playing on Omnis every day. For me, it was more about with very high success rate. Otherwise, we wouldn't be at these places. So
you should try this and that kind of thing.
So yeah, it's getting there
some
for
of the
sure.
games they have some warnings.
And do you have a hand in certifying, let's say a developer comes up with a new game and they want to bring it into the location-based service again, like one of these experiences that you're talking about? Do you have to, check its compatibility and make sure there's no problems like what this gentleman's talking about, for instance?
in Facebook in one
Yeah,
of the groups,
sure. I mean,
and they
even
say,
especially
"What
the
game should I play?"
commercial
I just got my
system or
headset,
commercial platform is
post
even
my
more
link,
curated
and
because making a game for
nice thing
commercial
is that
entertainment
because I provide really
is
good
even more
content,
unusual than
and
making
I'm
a
not
game for
monetizing
consumers.
the-
And
that's
we
the
have
site
our commercial
itself.
platform,
The
Omniverse. We have
admins,
24 games on
not
that
only
now,
have they been
including like
with me posting
Affected,
my own links,
Original
but
Sunshine,
some of them are actually posting
and some of the
my
bigger
link
titles. But we work
to answer questions
extensively
when
with
people
each
ask them, which
developer
is
to adapt
the
their
first time that
game
happened, I was so excited
for
'cause, you know, somebody else
commercial
recognized what we did and
entertainment.
liked it
Because
enough
what you
to-
have to do,
to share
first
it,
take out all the
you know, so
complex menu systems,
kinda
right?
fun.
Nobody at
But I have
Dave
to
and
make
Buster's
money,
going to
so
jump
that's
on
where
an
they're
Omni for
definitely-
6
yeah,
minutes and
hopefully
then
the
figure
store-
out how
the
this
store
menu
takes off
system
too.
works. Stuff like that
What I
doesn't
agree with
work.
you is also
It's got to be
about,
easy to play, hard to master, but you can't have like
it
difficult
hasn't
control
really
schemes
hit
that takes
its
you, you know,
big
5
stride
plays to
yet. I don't
figure
know.
out.
Have you
None
ever
of that
looked
stuff
at,
works in a 6-minute
trends for
commercial
VR?
experience. So,
from time to time, yeah. And I
so
think
right
they
now for
even
Omni
dropped,
Arena, we make all of
quite
our
a
own
bit,
games. We
over
don't even
time,
work with
so,
third parties anymore
yeah,
because we really
currently-
figured out
I'm not
how
sure
to
what
how
they
to do this
currently-
well for
It's really interesting.
commercial entertainment, and
if
we
you
can
look at the last 3
do it
years,
well.
there's a
Adopting a
bump in
consumer
November
game for commercial
and a
use is
bump in
actually a lot of
December.
work.
Obviously, people
you know,
look
so
at
we don't actually
Christmas
we don't do
presents.
that anymore.
But the bump in November
So
is
your
interesting.
revenue stream is
and then
as
that's-
much
that's
based
the
on the
reason
services extended, you know, on a
You know
renewal
what? Yeah,
basis
probably.
on
You're
a
probably
subscription
right. That's
model
what- see
as
how
it is
sometimes
on
don't think
the
about it. That's why we
original
all talk
hardware
to each
sale,
other
for
and we get
instance.
to
You
learn
know, I
from
can
each other.
imagine
That's
that
awesome.
over a
For-
long
for-
term.
Probably is Black Friday.
For
and
Omni
then
One,
this year,
yes. For the commercial
because
system,
Oculus
Omni Arena,
released
it's
in
a
October,
$150,000
there was an extra big
attraction
bump
that
in
we
November,
sell.
and then an extra big
So
bump in
most of our
December.
revenues come from the upfront sale. There's some
I
recurring
mean, I
revenues
would
on
be-
Omni
I would be
Arena
highly
from
surprised
commercial
if-
operators based
if
on
they don't come out
maintenance
with
and
a
some of the
Q3
gameplay.
before
For Omni
December.
One, it's
for
it's you know
Well, I
you have
mean,
the
they're
upfront
always
hardware
claiming
sale,
they
but then
are
we have the
going to do it,
game
but,
store where we
yeah,
make
you know,
recurring revenues from
Well, they're already coming
game
out with
sales.
128.
And then there's
Right,
an
did you-
anomaly.
did
There's
you hear
a monthly
Yeah, that-
subscription as well, much like
Yeah, it's funny
Xbox
because
Live
before-
for Xbox
before
or
the
PS
VR
PS Plus
magazine,
for
you know, put
PlayStation.
that info out,
There's a monthly subscription
I
for
was trying to
online
buy a headset for
gameplay,
my son who lives
$14 a
in
month if you
Hawaii.
want to play
So I
online.
called,
So there's some
Target
recurring
in
revenues
Hawaii
for us
to
there.
try to
So
buy one
for Omni
and see
One,
if
there's
they
more
can come pick
recurring
it up.
revenues.
And the guy
the
there goes,
commercial
well, we don't have any more of the 64s
units, not
because
so
they're
much.
coming out with the 128.
Okay.
My guess is he probably didn't even know enough to know he probably wasn't supposed to say that because he told me 2 weeks
That
ago.
makes sense then. So I thought that was just a Quest, for instance,
so
that you
if they're
had,
gonna do
you
that and
know,
they didn't
integrated
announce
with the
that,
system, but you really are
I would
a
be surprised if they don't come out with
360-degree environment.
It's possible.
I understand now why you
But
ship
even
a
if they
headset
don't,
with it.
There's so
And
much.
you
It's gained
you
so much
control,
in popularity
back to
that
the
I
App
think
Store,
it's
for
gonna
instance.
surpass last
That's,
year's Christmas.
that makes
So
sense.
I'm
Yeah,
trying to get
just
my-
being a
all my
hardware
store and everything
accessory
ready
to a
and prepped for
PC
that
or
so I
to
can take
somebody
advantage.
else's
People do be wanting to
headset,
buy VR
it's not a very
gifts,
good
right?
business. The hardware accessory business
Definitely.
is
I mean,
is
what
just
I'm hoping is even
just
even
not
if they
very
don't bring
great.
out a
So,
new headset,
and also
or
then you
at
lose
least not the
control
full
over
new
the
one, I'm hoping
the
for-
user
for
experience. And this is
more
what KT does, for
exercise-focused,
example. That's what we
hardware, so
did
that they
when we got
actually
started in the
try
early
to
days.
improve. I mean,
Here's the Omni,
the
and guess what? It
HTC
works with
Vive Air,
everything.
this
It works with the
design study was
Quest. It
really-
works
I mean,
with
when I
this.
saw
Works
it,
with
was like,
that.
God, that's
And the
cool.
reality is,
And I hope that Facebook
it
is
doesn't
going in
work
that direction because
that
Facebook
great
is
with anything,
very
really,
much
because it's
committed
really
to
hard to
fitness.
make
You see
stuff
that from
compatible
all the
across the
posts they are
board.
putting out lately,
As
so they are
KT is
ramping up
finding out now is that, okay, well, it just doesn't work all that great.
advertisement, the
So you lose
fitness-focused
control
content,
over the
and even
user
Mark Zuckerberg
experience.
every second time
And
he's
second, as I
talks
said, it's just a
about
bad
the future
business
of
model.
VR and
So.
fitness. And,
Yeah.
But it
so
also,
there
I
is
mean,
definitely- they are
it means
moving very fast
your
and
software ecosystem is the one that you develop. So let's say a game that takes off on side quest, like this Gorilla Tag thing. If you wanted to port Gorilla Tag onto your system, you need to, that's again, it's another platform for a developer to refactor into, and that you're going to find some friction points on that. But again, it obviously works.
That is correct. That is correct. Yeah, that is friction to overcome is convincing developers to port their game to our platform. And some developers may want a minimum guarantee or some money, and so there's indeed some friction.
Revenue sharing. That makes sense. Yeah.
That's another website.
Yeah.
I was talking
I'm sure all of these questions and a bunch more that we haven't asked came up during your fundraising environment that you went through, and I'm very curious how you found that experience working with the crowdfunding environment versus the VC environment versus whatever else that you looked at the time. I mean, how many avenues did you explore?
Yeah, well, we've raised money in the past in every possible way. So we've raised $39 million to date. Some of this is from VC. We have about a dozen VCs invested in our company. Mark Cuban is a big investor. For this latest round, the majority came through Seed Invest, so online crowdfunding, if you will, equity-based still, though equity investing, but which was a great fit for us. I mean, as we've seen, this Seed Invest campaign we did was just an incredible success. And a good fit at this stage. At this stage where we have a new product, Omni One for the home, which hasn't shipped yet, so can't really show VCs any data, any traction. It's very early for VCs at that point to invest. Whereas we did this Seed Invest campaign, and it was just a terrific success, and not only money-wise, but in addition, we now have 6,000-7,000 investors, and just in this last campaign, close to 10,000 investors in total, many of which who want to buy the product. So we basically have 5,000 plus customers lined up day one. And not just customers, evangelists, because they invested in the company, so obviously they wanted to succeed. So it's just a great outcome for us.
And how did you plan that campaign? Was it? I mean, did you have expectations? Did you saturate? Is it like? I mean, it's like Kickstarter for grown-ups. I see that kind of environment.
Philip and Danny, they can do that much.
Yeah. Do you have any? Are there any new features planned right now? Any new artwork?
Artwork. Right now, I'm rebranding the key art of the game for SideQuest.
Lead time up to that, so where they actually look at what's coming.
That makes sense. Well, I've actually started having an email chat with Jesse today, and it went really well. He showed me his store, I showed him mine. Matter of fact, I
so right now I'm
made him a coupon
redesigning everything, and I
already
think
prepared some of that, or was it? I mean, for instance, you said you do have some VC investment already. Let's say at your angel stage, at your pre-seed phase. How did that work for you? Or, was that just friends and family type investment?
Seed rounds, our early rounds, our seed round had 6 VCs, and then we've used Seed Invest many times in the past, not just for.
Okay, so that wasn't your first campaign.
No, it wasn't our first campaign, but our first campaign with them was a traditional Reg D, which is for accredited investors, which they also have. But that's investors investing $100,000 at a time. Our seed round, had mainly VCs and then some investors through Seed Invest. Our first A round we did through Seed Invest. The second A round also through Seed Invest. But it's always in parallel with traditional investors. We had one VC firm also investing in this last round. In parallel with the Seed Invest campaign.
Interesting. It's a great story. Yeah, it's fantastic. So it is. So it's a hybrid model. I understand that a bit
changed
more
the
now.
design of them, did you see?
Yeah, one does not exclude the other.
Like, did you have going back to the early days when you were prototyping? Did you have your first customers before you got your first investor? Did you have your Did you have something
initially,
drawings?
Because just the original Omni, which took several years. We got started with a true Kickstarter campaign actually back in 2013. We did $1 million on Kickstarter. But before even getting to that point, I was self-funding the development, and then we did a Kickstarter campaign, product crowdfunding, pre-sale, if you will, and then we did our investment rounds afterwards.
Very cool.
What place do you see for the Omni in like competitive esports? Because like I imagine there's a lot of like outstanding potential there, and there's also like problems you have to solve, like as far as like does the athletic differences in different players play into it or not, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. Like our Omni Arena attraction, we call it an esports attraction. It has built-in contests, weekly and monthly prize contests. There's a $100,000 prize pool annually in prizes that we give out. So every week people come and compete in Omni Arena, which is pretty neat. The Omni, it's a good fit for esports because you add a physical element to the gameplay, so it's really cool. For Omni One, we'll see to what extent we take that. Initially, we're not going to build in esports too much up front, but over time, we want to see what the appetite is for that. And yeah, I mean, sure, you can certainly see if this gets big, competitions with Omnis. We did a tournament once with our partner in China. We had like a big esports tournament, 11 million viewers in Shenzhen.
Wow.
It's very spectacular. And so, yeah, you could see that maybe becoming something bigger in the future. Yeah.
Distributed location-based experience,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
would be pretty cool. Yeah, I like it.
And everyone gets
All right, guys,
fit along the way.
I almost have to go to my next meeting, but this is really neat. How long do these meetups typically last?
Till somebody
basically
goes,
until
Yeah.
basically
people's
until
batteries start dying.
you want to go home.
That's good. That does
makes
happen.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I got my power bank right here, and I could go another 10 hours.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's dedication.
But sometimes you'll have 3 different presenters, and so we'll talk to you, for instance, and then go talk to the next guy, and then vice versa. You might see some people coming over now, and if you were going to stay, you might find you have another session, for instance.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, very, very neat. I'm glad I was able to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, congratulations.
turning
It's
up,
a
man.
fantastic thing.
For each sale, the money is automatically split in between the developers,
I think
depending
his
on the
was Mike
price
as well,
of
if I'm not
each app.
mistaken.
So there is no
So,
issue.
yeah, so it's
trust
really fun
issue
to be able
or
to do that.
Management,
You
money
have some
management
people
to do
interested.
with
Why
that.
don't you go chat?
So that's
it
quite
was
effective.
great meeting you.
So how is the marketing itself? Is there a
Simulator.
budget? Is there a budget for the marketing itself?
Hi, Chris.
We're kind of developing that right now. It used to be that the developers got all the money. It's now like a percentage of it goes to the like basically a pool, and then that pool can be used, I think, for marketing, or if Julian wants to take a cut or whatever, because he's doing all this work. Is that right?
Yeah, it's to help me sustain the project. So it's So I can pay the servers, the Google, because we are using Google Cloud
all good.
function, and so now I'm at the end of the trial and things like that, and maybe if pay for some ads
totally
or something,
understand.
some experiments to be able to experiment
Remio,
with
they
more.
have those private rooms you can go into.
Right now, it's been a lot of goodwill and like working with other people who are trying to help create the app lab space and getting them to
I'm gonna stay still.
help support in whatever way they can.
So yeah, so this is really.
Can you
cool
tell the
stuff.
story of like maybe the most successful
thing that you guys are planning on
game
doing?
that has been on
I don't know
the
that I'm
platform
ready
so
for it, but I
far,
think what I'll
and
do
why
is
they were
I'll
so
get
successful?
you as much info as I can about what I'm doing.
Can you expand a bit
and
on the
see,
question?
Like if you guys think
Yes,
that
I'm
there's
curious.
really
The
something
reason I'm
there,
asking specifically
then,
that is I'm curious
I would love
about,
to be able to do that.
you know, someone is going to,
a couple of my friends
work with
have
you
invested
and
up to this point
put their game on
about
VR
20
collection
grand.
right now.
It's not,
You know,
it's
what
really not much.
what
But,
kind
but
of game would be the
because
most
I'm basically
successful?
working
And maybe
off
you already know that
being laid
because
off since
you know
for
you
over a
have
year now.
you've seen the
I
most
gotta
successful in
generate
terms
some
of
revenue. So
sales,
hopefully my
right?
store, which
Of games.
Yeah,
just
that's the
getting ready
beauty
to
of it.
launch. Oh, you know what? Also, I offered to Jesse,
the
but I'd be
success
happy to do the
is
same for you.
equally distributed.
Because really, it helps me
they
more than
are
I'm giving you something for free.
surprise
But
bundles.
if
So
in my
if
store,
you don't
if you
want
find something, I'll
as
send you the
a
information.
player,
If
as
you
a
find
buyer,
something you
if you
like,
don't want to
Oh,
Hey,
hey,
Celia.
Robin.
How
How
are
are
you
you?
reveal
I managed to get in here today.
Yeah, it's
It
good to
worked
see you.
out. I've been checking. I haven't got the adapter yet,
They are
but
too close.
I'm
It should
sitting
be
there
here.
doing
It should be with you, I guess, in the
I
next
think
couple
it
of
is that
days,
you
maybe.
have basically like
Amazing.
there's different
How was
ways
your
to
trip?
attract different people.
Hey.
It was
Like
great.
DSM's
It was
probably
lovely.
the most successful
Hello.
game.
They're talking there. Can you
And so if
maybe?
someone wants a good
sorry,
deal on
yeah,
Twitter,
sorry, sorry.
Professor,
they
Sorry.
might
I want to
have
interrupt you.
buy a
Thanks.
couple bundles to get that because
he
one,
was-
like Julian was saying. But two, whoever else in that bundle with them is getting the benefit of DSM being the attract, for instance, or Zepsteiner or Peco.
Yeah,
So
the soundtrack.
I would say there's no. I would say we're still somewhat early. I think the other part of the question was like, who's broken out of the VR collection and or gone on a main store and is a million. Like that hasn't happened yet, right?
Not
We're still very
necessarily.
early.
I mean, that seems like that would be the logical progression, right? But I mean,
That's our hope, I think, is that we can help more and more titles reach a broader audience. Like DSM, I would love to see in the main store. Like a lot of these games, I would love to see in the main store. So I think, yeah, that's part of it.
so that is exactly what you guys are trying to achieve. that the games kind of bubble up, be really successful, and make it to the main store, or are there other kind of objectives that you have beyond that?
It depends on the developers.
I think it depends on the developer.
Some developers in the collection, like the developer for Jigsaw 360, I think he just wants to have more players, and he just wants to
and you said it's from football.
Have this game played more and more and more. So I mean that's why I talk about the long tail of success. So your success and your ambition is not necessarily my success and my ambition.
Sure.
If I'm a solo developer or if I have a small team of 5, like maybe Seb's Dinner, I think they're a small team of 4 or 5 now. So they don't have the same criteria.
Apparently it's
But
quite
anyway,
common.
just to
One
put
of the most
it
common
in
football
context,
injuries,
VR collection is just
Which
like
somebody
12
told me that
days, or
beforehand.
maybe 13
Shows
days
you how
old,
much I
no,
know
not
about
more.
football.
Oh, I thought I was out of the loop. You guys are just that young.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
that's
it's,
good.
It's
Yeah.
giving
So
me
VR collection itself
some coding and,
is like
stuff like that,
not even
so
2
I'm
weeks,
getting all the
or maybe
seated
just
stuff
yeah,
done
yeah,
now.
just 2 weeks. It's been 2
Oh
weeks.
wow! Congrats on the launch, holy moly!
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been just 2 weeks, and so as you said, Blake, we are early, and we are still trying
Yeah.
to
It's going
get
well.
more
I'm
traction,
currently
to get more
talking
press,
to a
because
couple
the idea is that
of
if
piano
we get
teachers
press for
who
the
are
collection,
other piano
we
teachers.
actually
Do you
get
teach piano? I
press
can't
for
remember whether you're
all the
Yeah,
apps
I've
in the collection
I've
now,
been teaching
but
piano
all the
since
apps
I
in the
was, like,
collection
15.
later.
Okay,
So,
cool.
because if we add an app,
Have you been doing
people
it
that
on
know about VR
on
collection
Zoom?
can go back and collect the app
I
on VR
did
collection.
it a
So
little bit,
yeah, it's
but
really
because I
about
live in Sweden,
this virtuous circle
nothing
of,
really closed
of,
down during
getting
the
more
pandemic,
people to
so
try
I
more
really
apps.
Well, I
in
guess
more
it's- yeah,
genre,
so I'm not completely opposed to it, and it would
to
be a
come
matter
back and
of-
collect
Yeah,
more and
I
play
guess
more.
how much
you didn't have that
and
problem, but I've heard
the
that
app
lots
getting
of other
better,
people were
and
doing
those
stuff
things
over
to kind of
Zoom and they were
decide.
and getting some
Love that.
autonomy
Kind of worth
in
their
terms of
time.
delays
marketing.
I have
Getting-
So,
getting
yeah.
able
quality
to-
I have some
to-
friends that
Yeah.
are fairly well off.
It's
Of our
definitely
own marketing.
limited.
I could
I
probably
know. I
raise
helped out a couple of
fairly
terms,
easy,
I
could probably raise a couple
and not on
$100.
Oculus
piano
terms.
teacher
haven't
colleagues,
About,
school owners
is there
back in
something like a
Canada,
community
and I
idea
did go
behind
for
that?
some
For
Zoom
example, if
lessons for
2 or 3 developers
So
of
for that.
games
So
or
So I
apps that
have
know
to
each
give up.
other,
had
and they
experience with
probably
it.
know that they're doing
Yeah.
something into
I'd
the
love to
a
do
similar
okay.
direction,
It is
say
what
with
it
music or
was,
stuff.
it was.
Could they
But,
easily
yeah,
join
now
you as a
wondering,
team and
I
say,
bet a
hey,
lot
we
of,
are already more or less thinking about
parents are
making a bundle, can
hesitant
you help
to,
us?
Oh,
Like,
now we have to
would
drive
that
little
be
Jimmy
an
to
idea?
piano again. Or
Yeah,
like they
sure.
probably
I
don't want to
mean,
leave
okay.
their house for that stuff.
Yeah,
anymore.
that's the idea.
Yeah, I think
Well,
maybe
I will,
there's definitely a
any-
gap between
I'm
having a real
App
piano
Lab
lesson
distributed
with a real
app
piano teacher
that
and
is,
Zoom, like more so for things
not,
like
not
you do
broken,
business and you can have
and
meetings
that
on
has
Zoom, no
some
problems.
fun in
But
it.
I think actually trying to
And
learn
for example,
piano over Zoom is
Colorball
still
is joining next
significantly worse
batch.
than doing
It's
it
a very
yourself.
simple
I think,
and I'll get you your
very
own
basic.
code
It's a match
and-
two,
a gap
you
there,
match
but
goals,
hopefully
and if you
VR
know
will
me,
one
I'd
day
love
be
to
able
have
to
and
like,
it's
fix
some
a little bit.
feedback on the
It's
designs.
$2.
The design.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
on VR collection,
potential,
you're going
like,
to
they're
be able
not
to
great.
get it
They're
for
not
$1.
really-
I mean,
not
$97
$800 for the
amazing.
design.
Like,
I'm
it's
Yeah.
so
using it
exciting. I'm
so-
just so
fairly selectively.
Yeah, it's
I'm
kind
so
of
excited
some of the
about
designs
it.
I'm
Mobile
doing
That's good to
myself.
hear.
And I
I'm
think-
actually
I think
the reason
it's
I was
great
talking
that
to
we
the
get
piano
apps
teachers
apps
is that
like that,
and
very
I'm
basic
just
apps,
working
very simple,
on
that you
building
don't
lessons
pay
out more
$20
at
of
the
course.
moment. I've
And
got
maybe you're going to
at the moment it's
play
possible to
1
record
hour,
pieces,
maybe
but
half
it's
an
not
hour,
really
maybe
possible
you're going
to
to play it
record
again and again
designs I
because
would
you're
lesson
in the
material.
target audience.
So I'm working on
So yeah, I think
adding
the idea is really
audio
to
so you can
give
both
players
speak and
almost
I think
move your hands and
everybody
then
is saying
sort
that
of show people with
VR
your
players
hands how
are
to play a
starved
section
for content.
and then
Oh, that's
but at the same time, they
perfect.
cannot
repeat
buy
it, that kind of
everything.
thing.
So we are
That
trying to
is so
strike this
perfect.
balance. Okay,
what you gotta
take a
take care of,
chance
I was
on
So in the
these
future, hopefully not too long,
I'm gonna
they
try
might
to come
be
here
it'll be
every
possible to
$25
record a
apps,
series
like
of lessons and then the people can
Arcaxer is
progress
a
through
RPG,
from the first one
with
to
a
the
lot
last
of,
one and
of
then
content.
gradually hopefully
Thank you so much
improve
for
their own
providing
playing.
$25
But I'm not a good enough
as
I'm
that
not
on
really a good
collection
enough
of-
pianist
and then there is Colorboard, it's $2.
to do it. So at the moment,
yeah,
I'm focused
both
on
can be fun.
just making the system
and so,
work
yeah,
well, and then
everybody is
hopefully once I'm ready,
we want basically
we can start sort of
if we
building out
could
the
have
content.
all apps
Sure.
in VR collection.
That's fantastic. So are
burying
you
the ones
planning
that
on
are totally
getting
broken,
like a
of
whole
course,
curriculum in
are
there?
very
I think
very, I don't
I'm
know,
going
not
to
in-
start
not-
with the
not
low-hanging
illegal at all.
fruits. So I think,
and
as with all piano apps, they
I
start
think we
with
would be happy.
complete beginners, so just really
What
basic
do you
stuff.
Do you find that
what
to
are,
be?
what are our criteria? Do we
And
have
then
criteria
hopefully I'll
like
like
that, do you think?
specialize a little bit.
I think it's mainly
there's
is
this guy called
the game good
Thomas
enough
who's
for the
done,
price that it's at,
he's a
and do
jazz
we think it will
exactly, that's that.
bring
That's
people
exactly
down?
that.
He
Yeah.
Do you
Is
find
he the one
apps?
that recorded
Sorry.
That's
Do-
right.
That's a
Yeah,
good
one
thing.
of
Yeah.
already.
Do you find apps
Oh my God,
that
it was
are in the
phenomenal.
app lab
Yeah, it's
that
really cool
are
to hear him
broken?
play. He did a whole concert in VR, and
So
that was a really
is
good
Jimmy
experience.
asking?
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Do we
Yeah,
find
Justin
apps in
told
Apply
me
that are
about
broken?
that,
I
and
would
was
say,
completely-
I mean, I've played some that are kind
was
of
it
not.
in here,
They don't
in Spatial Ape?
work well,
Or
or there's
it
not
was
good
in
tutorialization. Or
everything I
more,
had, like
the
a
problem is
big
that they're
multiplayer,
like, I don't
system
know,
in
like they're
reality that
$25,
had
but
space for people to come
you
in
know,
and sit in the
most
audience
reasonable
and
people
watch
wouldn't think that
performance.
this
It
is
was,
worth
you know, it was
$25
very
for
slowly,
it,
but
and so
did
then
work
it's like,
briefly.
well,
So one day,
you know,
I
and then
hope to
they
get
would
that
then
back in.
the way that
Hey,
our
Chris.
stuff works is then it would be
That's also
like
super
$25
cool.
in our system or whatever. So then
Yeah.
that makes
How you
things
doing?
more expensive. So
quite
that's
well.
kind of the calculus.
Yes, not too bad.
And
This is
actually, we
Celia.
had the
She's,
developers
a
reaching
very
out with
talented
an app
pianist
that
and
is
also a
a
quest
sport
winner.
app,
So
quite
the
interesting
holy
sport
grail
app,
of the
but
piano
there is a
is
few
right
bugs,
here.
obvious bugs, like
That's great. Did you
the
work together?
object you have in your hand
We're hoping
is
to,
not
yes.
at the right distance,
Once
and
Celia's got the
when you change
necessary
scene,
connector to get
the
the piano
scenes
plugged
stay
into
black,
the headset,
and you have to
she's offered
press a
to do some
button
recording, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's cool.
to go back to the
Awesome.
so
did
just
you
3
ever
bugs, I think.
experience that
And
combination
the developers
virtuality and piano
is not really
playing?
keen on fixing that.
No, this was definitely
so
this was
that's
my
problematic
first time,
because
and it was
you have
really,
like
really cool. I'm
an app
really
that
really
is
excited
with 3
just
bugs, only 3.
the-
But these 3 bugs
because
are,
I'm
are like
also a teacher,
make
so
it a bit broken. But I think
just
you
the
tried it,
potential
Blake.
for learning.
Yeah, I remember
from
that
this
one.
App
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
It's like an error.
So yeah,
Is it-
that's basically
so
that's the idea. So yeah, common sense.
But
I don't know.
what is it?
This
that
App
you're
Lab's still
working on,
kind of
Chris?
new, but you know, somebody, a developer now could be
working on
releasing
automatic
version 2 or version 3 of, you know, updates, and eventually something stops
Oh,
working.
yeah, I know Remio that I work pretty closely with. They're on App Lab, and they've got a ton of bugs. They know they do. I mean, we get in there and help them stress test still, and they're on App Lab.
Which game?
Remio?
Remio?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like
but
team
at least-
building
They would
for
love
Right, but
that.
but at least their app is
businesses.
free, right?
That's brilliant. That's
right now it's
amazing.
free. Their ultimate
Yeah.
model is not to be that.
I do some
yeah.
film
But there's, like,
scoring, too. So if
Over 250 apps
if
on
I ever
App Lab
come
now or
across
something.
direct
So
it,
like,
I can definitely
there's just so many.
plug
Yeah,
that
how do you
because
keep
it's-
track of it? Yeah, they don't
Well,
announce.
I
it.
mean,
I
they're
think
not
they're
required to be bug free. If that was your question, like
Yeah,
they're allowed
that's
to
what I was wondering. Yeah,
be a little
okay.
bit,
Actually, I
a
haven't
little bit
done
cloudy.
They don't have to be bug free.
in
They
a
have to be
little while,
stable.
But right
I
now
think.
I'm working on like a theme song for a
But again,
YouTube
over time, that
series.
changes.
Yeah, but
No,
the
no, yeah,
Oculus has that
it's
content
kind of
creation
like,
problem. I mean, Steam has that problem,
parody
right? Like, I
of
can release
Yeah.
a Steam update for my game
Everybody.
right now that causes a
late
crash.
80s, early 90s
Mhm.
superhero shows.
Sure.
Like
At a
Power
point, you're either on a
Rangers or what have you.
platform,
So
like a console that
that's
tests for
pretty
that,
fun.
and that's part of what they're selling you, or you're on a platform that doesn't care about
top
that.
favorites.
And I don't think it's our job to curate if successive updates
I mean, at the moment, I've
are
noticed
stable
a lot of
necessarily.
need
I mean, I
here
guess
in
we would
Germany
yell at an
in
app
Babelsberg.
if
That's
we
mainly
got
for the
feedback around
studios and
that,
work
maybe.
there.
But
So,
Cool.
with Netflix
at some level,
now,
that's also the platform's
first
job.
guys that had so much
Yeah,
work.
agreed.
We have no
Yeah,
10
that's
studios
why they
instead
keep
of
the walled
2.
garden, you know,
The audio
to a large
guys.
extent.
You know,
Don't let
all-
everybody
Yeah,
in.
but interestingly,
because we have to
if you look at
dump everything
some
in German,
numbers, there is
people
some
are not
apps on the
watching
Quest Store
original
that
versions in
could,
Germany. They want it in
in
German
a
because
few weeks
was
maybe
done like that. So
benefit
all the
from
Netflix shows,
from VR
Amazon, and all
collection
that stuff
because
has to be dubbed.
I think there are some
And
apps so
some
cliff,
of them are also
some app from
working on music and
2019 or
stuff like that. So
early
it's,
2020,
it's growing a lot at the
and
moment.
they have
That's
especially
fantastic.
they sold
For
some
audio,
copies
it's getting better
and
and
then
better.
now they are not selling
Plus
anymore
all the podcast stuff that
and
is
if you look at
coming
the number of
outsourced,
reviews
so
for example that
yeah.
could be used as a
so
proxy
greatly in the last years, you know.
for the sales,
podcast was,
you see that some
getting
official
so
app
big
Quest
is also
app
cool, and they
have
also
just like
need a lot of
a
music
few
and-
dozens
and,
of reviews,
audio
so
editing
meaning
and stuff
not
like that, so.
great sales
Yeah,
when
lots
they
of
are actually
opportunities.
really good.
Definitely.
And I think about some of the more
Very, very
experimental
cool.
apps in the App Store.
What
in the
is
Quest App
what's
Store,
the statue
like,
in the
Luna
center
or
today?
other apps like that. They're quite
I don't
good.
actually know.
But
If I click on this
as
one, it should
players
change
are not
into a
focused
piano. Let's see if
on
this
trying that
works.
kind of app, they probably missed it. And I think
maybe not.
bringing them
I
to
love
their
it.
collection too would probably
Pianos
give them
are the
a new way to reach players.
This
So I
one
think,
is not,
even,
unfortunately, not playable.
even the
but
high quality
in a
apps
future version, maybe.
need to be
That'd be
exposed
so
and
cool.
to be to reach out to give player a chance
Celia
to
did the,
try them
the,
again.
the recording
I don't know,
for
you know what I mean.
for Thomas's Cubism game. So the
Yeah,
soundtrack.
I'm sorry
was all
if I missed this from earlier, but what's more or less? Can you run us through your application process?
Guess
So if
claim to
a
fame
developer
in
wants
here,
to
at
be
least.
part of VR Collective,
Yeah, just
Um,
reach out to us on. We have a
You should put
Discord,
that on
VR
your,
Collection Discord.
on your description on your
It's like,
profile, because I'm sure people would be interested to
on
know
the VR
that.
Collection page.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
the
Do you
URL
just
for
do
the
that
page
on
for the
the
website is
special website?
vrcollection.club.
Yeah, if you go to the website, click
C-L-U-B,
on your username,
and
you
you can
enter in
just join us on Discord and
or something else,
say,
something like that,
hey,
and then
hello,
when
I'm a
people click
developer,
on
and
your head, they'll see that
here's my
rather
app,
than
and we will like
business card underneath.
reach out to you.
Oh
and,
no! Wait. Oh, so actually,
and try your
I've never done
game
that. If I
and
click
just
on
like-
your head right now,
yeah.
Robin, I get to see your business.
I mean,
Look
basically
at
having a
that.
conversation
I
together
didn't
because we are
even know
developers
that.
too. We are not like
You can
project
get sent my
manager
business
or,
card
you
in
know,
your.
or,
It should be sent to your email, I
We're
think.
just like
If I go
developers,
get
and
business
we want
card.
other developers to be successful like us, and we want to be successful together. So yeah, there is
don't
no
know.
really.
It's like
There is like, and then yeah, it's more like okay, let's
get
try
business
this
card.
game.
Success. You will
producing
receive an
guys,
email.
and
Cool.
Yeah, it's the future.
let's
Yes. Okay. Wait, Chris.
If it's not
now,
buggy,
Chris. Gotta click Chris.
and we have
Oh,
some
you
fun
don't
with it.
have a business card yet.
Oh, you need to fill out your description.
It's
the
not really
concept,
a-
like
can see
I
his
think there was
website.
some
Cool.
cartridges for Nintendo
Sweet.
that after
Okay,
a
well, I
couple
can at
years they
least
came
do
out with like 20 games on them. You know, so it's so funny. It's a concept that's been around, but it's so great to see it in actually coming
I can
to
click my own
VR.
head. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think this is
I
a
can
great
follow
great
myself?
idea. I need to find more information about
Unfortunately, not
what
yet.
you're doing, and then I'm
Would it make
list you
sense?
on my website too, because I'm my website's for beginners in virtual reality,
Cool,
and
cool. So
one of
isn't
my
there a-
one of
a
the most
famous
popular
director called
pages that I
Rogers
get
for this
tons
one
of
or
visits
something?
on
Yes, I'm
is
impressed that
a
you know
page
that.
that I
He
built that
directed,
lists
one of the Bond
the
films. I
free
can't remember which one
apps
it
that
was.
I thought were
Yeah.
really
Like
good. I
Goldeneye.
played almost all these
Oh wow,
myself
that was my
and
first
wrote up
Bond
some
movie.
descriptions about them.
Yeah, me
You
too.
filter
And it-
them and
Seriously.
Yeah, and I think I
Yeah,
could. I think
well,
I could
the
easily
first one
mention
I
because this is
really
your
remember.
stuff isn't free, but
Okay.
it's the next
okay,
step,
we
right?
can see that we have
Yeah.
different ages. My
So yeah,
mine was 4 years
and that's
only.
also a way I think, and
Yeah,
most of
yeah.
the
That was a good
players or
soundtrack, I
buyers
think. I
on
can't remember, I'm trying to
of
think
your
of Bond
collection
games now. I can't
and Lab
remember which
Surprise
one that
before
one was.
understand that and appreciate
Yeah.
that. It's also
Yeah,
a way
for
to
yours
support.
only was
It's
the
a way to
same
get
song, but
a game
I don't
with a discount,
remember
but it's also a way to
Gina
directly
Easton,
support
I think.
indies. You know,
Okay.
and I think a lot of people in VR want to find
Something like
ways
that.
to better support
Yeah.
developers directly, and VR Collection is a way to directly support the developers.
Yeah, he didn't really do much
I
after that.
think,
Roger
as you say, it's the next step. So maybe I try some
that I
free
know of,
games,
maybe he's gone on to
and
great
maybe
things, I don't
I
know.
can try to find the indies.
But he had some good
Maybe
movies,
I'm
Really?
buying
as
Beat
far as I
Saber,
remember,
but
but
maybe I want something
he's not Spielberg,
out
you know,
of
he
the
didn't do
ordinary
good
and
movies
something a
or
bit
stuff like
different.
that. No.
Yeah.
right. So and then although this is a lot of work for me, I'm gonna have to.
I think
I'm
so,
gonna have to play
yes.
every single one of these games.
I
in
don't
order
think
to-
he should.
because I-
Yeah,
like-
reach
I
out
can't
to
really-
us for
I can't really go and
keys
talk
if
to
you
him
want
or
to
him on
review them.
LinkedIn or anything.
Oh, sure.
Maybe he
Call
wants
it
to
work.
get into games or something.
Right. Well, yeah, it is. But it kind of
Now's
is like
his
it takes so
chance.
much time,
Yeah,
and I gotta put time into building the websites.
And
So,
in terms
and
of-
I've already
in terms
played.
of-
Connection in the next
Yeah.
years.
I've already
in terms
played your
of-
game and I like it.
You know, games
You-
for
you played
movies
Pico Pico?
and also the
Yeah,
other way
yeah, it was a lot of
around.
fun.
And this whole
Thanks. And yeah, and
middleware
actually,
stuff.
it's interesting. Pico Pico is
We'll-
interesting
we'll
because
grow together,
a lot of
quite
people
sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll pitch you
tell
my
us that,
idea, Chris. You might be a good
in real
person
life,
to,
I don't really
to listen
like
to this.
jigsaw puzzles,
So,
but I like
think the idea of
playing
puppeteering in VR
puzzle in
is
Pico Pico.
something that's not been fully
And
explored
so
yet.
I think
So
in terms
I
of
guess the
VR,
idea,
it's interesting
maybe
that
you've done a bit of this,
we
where
are
you have a
trying
film
to
set, or you have
equate
some
or
characters
to
and move it
find.
around and
Okay, I
different
like that.
angles and
I
kind
like,
of stuff
for example, I
to
like
do a
baseball
film.
in real life, so I'm going to buy
but
a
much more
baseball
like
game.
really simple
But I
version
don't
of that
like
could just
baseball
be
in real life, so
you
I'm
have a
not going to buy a
controller
baseball
and
game. And I think
instead of your
it's
hand,
mistaken
you've got
in a
a
way.
character.
Because
It's a really
time and
simple
time
puppet
again,
character.
we see people
And then
saying,
you click
okay,
record
I really don't
and you
like,
move it
I don't
around,
know,
and
boxing.
then the next take you move another
But I
character,
love,
and then you've got two
Thrill of the
different
Fight, for
characters, and you can like
Yeah,
have a
that's
different
and
maybe a soundtrack.
Fishing, the VR fishing. The VR fishing game is a lot of fun, and in real life, I don't fish at all. So.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah, that's right.
honestly,
because I remember there was
that's
something like
don't tell anybody, but I don't like jigsaw puzzles, like flat jigsaw puzzles in real life. I don't play them, and
like with
but I
hanging
and
on
that's
ropes,
not because
you know,
I'm one of
yeah.
the developers, but
on
I really
strings.
like
You could use
assembling puzzle in Peco.
like it
I
was
love
hanging on
cutting
strings.
puzzle in Peco
I
because you
remember
can
that.
cut your own puzzle.
In
So I
those
can
deep
spend
apps,
hours
I don't know
cutting
if
a
it's still
puzzle,
there
trying
because,
new
you know,
combination
Yeah.
of cutting,
it was so,
and
but
then
I
share them
remember there was something that was called
with the
Haptic
community,
Europa.
with the Peco players.
Look it up.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I
look it
actually
up.
love
The
to
hand-
watch,
the
and I
hand
think
puppet
I'm the
idea
only
is
one of the
great.
team. I actually love
Because, you know,
to
you
watch
could
people
record one after
playing
the
Peco
other
Peco.
after the
Like I
other,
mean, like
and with
captures
2 or 3
and
finger
streaming.
motions. you
So
could
I
do
love
really
to watch
funny
people
stuff in
assemble,
that
and
case.
I would
That's
not
a great idea.
ever
Yeah, I was
watch
thinking of it
people
because
do
with Grand Reality now, you
flat
can press
puzzle in real
record
life.
and just
Oh,
record
I
all
can't
your
imagine
hands.
anybody
You can
watching
record
somebody
everything,
put a
it's just
puzzle
there is
together.
you're playing. So sometimes I find
actually,
myself like just
my
I mean, there's like
goal-
competitive jigsaw puzzles.
once in front of my
Yeah.
face.
Really? Well, I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, it's great.
it has to be
I had a
competitive. Everything.
professor in
I-
college who did
This
professional
space.
jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah, I could
especially
see
for
that.
children.
Like, I would never do it, but I could see it
Yeah.
happening.
And it
So
translates
my
quite
point
well
is
to,
that it's very
to just
difficult because how
mobile
can
apps
you
as well. You could have
tell
a phone
people
with a camera
to
on
play
it
Peco
and do some
Peco
bit of
when they
simple hand
believe
tracking
they,
and
won't,
just
they will
record
not like
something
it because they don't like
without a
jigsaw puzzle,
VR headset
and you
then
know
watch
that
it in
that's
VR.
not connected. You know,
I mean,
and I
this
think
would
it's
be
true
easily
from
done
many
probably
of
with
these
AR
games,
kit.
and I'm gonna say
Yeah.
Because,
you have to try it.
you have
You have to
the,
try it to believe it.
the
you know?
occlusion.
And,
you could also
and
record
that's
I,
one of
I
the
played
virtual
I
objects.
played
Yeah, that's a
puzzling
really good point,
places
Joel.
first,
Seen by-
and
by
was
the
surprised that I
and
enjoyed
stuff like
playing
that.
it
So,
because I do
Actually,
not like jigsaw
yeah.
puzzles. So when I
Yeah.
saw your game
definitely
after I was playing
improving
theirs,
the
it
whole
looked like
hand
it.
tracking
I was
and
like, why
even,
not? I like
full
this
body
one. I
tracking
like
is
that one
coming, I
too.
think, quite
And yours
soon
is different
in terms of, like,
enough
the machine
that
learning,
it's more
wow.
interesting the way it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if you try to cut your own puzzles.
I'm just like a layman.
At the
and
moment,
so
it's not
my
really,
mind is like
it's not really
blown
fun because
at
you
every
keep them
time,
on your
every
headset,
single booth I
but
go
really
to.
soon,
I'm just like, wow.
in a few,
Every time someone
really soon,
explains
we
what
are
the
going to
possibilities
enable
are, I'm like, oh my
a
gosh,
puzzle sharing.
it's
So you can
coming.
cut your own puzzle and then
Amazing.
share the
This
cuts,
is so
share the new,
Yeah,
the new
early days.
pieces
Still very early days.
with the community, so people can try. So, for example, if you find them too easy, you can try to cut a new 200 pieces one, and people are going to be able to.
Yeah,
So I
that
think
was the
it's a new dimension.
Actually,
and also there is a new
successful game
series coming
that
next week called In the Attic,
done the
where you're
music
going to be
for.
able to
I
be
mean, I've done
in a
music for
beautiful
games that like never got off the
custom
ground,
design
but,
attic,
yeah,
like
this
in a
was
very old house,
really, really
and you will
project to
the
work
puzzle
on.
will be based on
Super fun.
12
Super fun thing to do.
antiques
An
that you
amazing
could
opportunity.
find in your grandparents' attic.
yeah,
for
no, I
example,
guess
like
I
a
didn't-
very old
yeah, the
bicycle from the
Oculus
19th
Quest
century,
2 was my first headset, and
a pocket watch.
yeah, now I'm
Have you
here,
have
and
you
it's
considered
awesome.
multiplayer? Because the only
love
time
it
I've
in
ever enjoyed doing a puzzle was when I did
How
it
did you
with
meet
2 or 3
Thomas?
other
Yeah.
people.
Thomas,
So of course we
met
that's on
at,
our list. We want people to be able to play.
what was it called? Nordic Game Jam?
Together
A couple years ago,
in real
it was
time.
in Copenhagen.
But
yeah,
that's
so it was at a game jam.
That's a step, you know.
But it's-
For
Sure.
a very small team with not a lot of time.
They have it in one of
it's,
the
yeah, it's a big step. So we are
Scandinavian
polishing
countries
the solo
every
experience
year,
first,
or at least they did before COVID. But
and then that's really something we want to do.
I live
And
pretty
I
close
think
to
I personally
Copenhagen.
think that
I live in Sweden,
will
actually,
make it
but
like 10 times better.
Yeah, so no, absolutely.
So yeah, I was lucky enough to go to Copenhagen, and I could.
Anyways, yeah,
attend.
that would definitely
some
be
other
able
year
being
it
able
could
to
be
bring
Helsinki,
because that's
some
one of
other
the
year it could be
most
Stockholm,
interesting
some other year
things that
whatever.
I found when I
Oslo.
first started
So
because I'm
different
new to
Nordic
VR. I
countries
just started
every year.
when the Quest 2 was released. And when I was able to go
are there
into
also
Walkabout
people from other
and play
countries
with my
like Britain
friends
or Germany
who were nowhere
Spain?
near me,
Oh, yeah, for
and
sure.
that was one of the
People,
most
yeah,
amazing
they come
things
from
I've
everywhere,
experienced
like
in virtual
Thomas
reality
is
from the
from
very beginning was
Belgium.
that social
So
aspect.
he came
So
all the
being
way
able
from
to do the
Belgium.
puzzles with friends would be way better.
Yeah, and actually actually, I'm a bit mad against both
trip out of
Unity
it.
and Oculus that multiplayer is not like the base default. I mean, anytime you start a new Unity VR project,
yeah,
it should
although
be multiplayer
technically
by
I am
default.
Canadian.
Because it will help in terms of design.
I'm moving
and,
fast.
and I think the
Yeah,
basics,
you've
the
got
defaults
me.
for VR are
Hey,
really,
from Canada
really
to
bad
Sweden,
right now.
that's
On Twitter, you just gotta do hashtag
Yeah,
hotmakes, and he'll find it, and he'll show it on the next one.
I enjoy
But,
Europe a lot, and I wanted
he
to live
showed a
here,
whole bunch of
and I
3D printing
knew
stuff,
of
so
a
there's a whole
company that recruited from one of the universities I attended for Teachers College, and I was like, oh, this is the fastest way I can think of to be able to live in Europe again because I did my master's in Spain. But then after that, I missed the lifestyle, so to speak. Even though Spain and Sweden obviously have really different climates, really different cultures, fairly different lifestyles, but still, just even the differences between just North America and Europe, I would definitely choose Europe. So,
okay, so now you're back.
just applied to jobs
Just the last thing I want to say,
and I got in eventually.
when you
and
hit
now
a
I've been
streak,
here
so
for
if
a
you hit
couple
several.
years.
Sorry,
That's
I accidentally teleported.
Okay.
If you hit several queues in a row and you do it right, then there are coming flames out of them. So the more you hit, the longer the flames get, so that you actually see that you're hitting a streak, and so that's
awesome. You broke up with it.
Any musical impact? I guess it would be hard because.
Not at the moment, no. And the thing is, the feedback I'm usually getting is most people don't care about the music. I mean, they care that there is music, but they don't really care about what music.
Did you restart?
Yeah. So I'm really not at the moment. I'm not really trying to get into that too much.
I thought that bug was fixed, but obviously it's still around.
They just want the music.
Yeah, exactly.
Hold on to your
The funny thing is, the VR Fitness Insider did a long review about that, and he was like telling, it worked so well, and he put in his own music, and it's so.
Oh, you did a drop through as well. I thought that we
that's not
fixed that
possible.
problem, but it's
It can't be
obviously
synchronized
still
because
around.
there is no synchronization.
It's a time thing.
People really don't really know that it's not.
You know, from something.
They look normal.
Yeah, definitely is. It's not a memory leak. We've pretty much got that. But
Emma, is my audio bad?
after a certain number
It cut out for just a quick second.
Okay. The thing is, VR Fitness Insider did quite a long review about it, and he was writing like it's so great because even with your own music, it's so nicely synchronized. And when I was reading that, I was thinking, no, that's not possible. It's not synchronized.
Yes,
People don't
welcome
really
back.
realize that it isn't.
They just
weird.
don't notice.
Wait.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
I wasn't sure if there were
Really?
still people in. I
And the
didn't
thing is,
realize, like, I
it's
thought
so
we were the
hard.
last
It's
two
so hard,
people.
and it's really that you.
You know, with the
like,
Oculus Home, where you click
the
all, and then you go to
Holy Grail
Untitled
is having
And the guy, what happened to the guy playing?
I had to restart my quest.
Well, he'll be back as well, hopefully. But I'm hoping to have like a recording that has sound
And the guy
tracking.
playing. Yeah, it's
I
great.
forgot what I was saying before.
The animated version.
Then you can cycle through different performances, and you can load up your favorite tune, and all of that.
You saw that AR game that whatever Thomas or one of the guys pointed out to you.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've actually seen its progression. It started off as just an iPhone app. It was called AR Pianist, I think. And the idea was you hold it in front of you, hold it, and the camera projects a piano player onto your floor, or you can, and then they progressed to having real pianos, so you could put the app over a real keyboard, and it would superimpose the hands and the pianist. And now they've kind of gone and made it into a machine learning framework, and you can download this system and put in your own music. So they've really expanded it.
Yeah, that to me is the interesting thing. It breaks down the notes and actually shows it in the way they've animated the notes in a Beat Saber, you know, one of these sort of Tetris type of experiences. That mechanic should work for you too, though. You know, I mean, I would imagine that's a really interesting thing. I don't know if they can patent that kind of thing in this space, but you know, I don't know. I think you could do the same thing on yours, and it's a fantastic learning tool.
Yeah, I'd love to know how they did it. I think it's some complicated machine learning stuff going on, but the really impressive thing that you said is the fact that they can actually take in audio recordings and convert them into not only notes, but also hand movements. That's the crazy thing for me. That's just witchcraft as far as I'm concerned.
But once you know a note, once you get a note defined, you know it's a G sharp of whatever scale, you know where that is on your keyboard, and then it's just a matter of matching the time.
Well, there's loads of other questions like which finger do you use, and like if you just use that finger to press G sharp, do you then use that same finger to press the next note, or do you use another one? And it's actually
video games.
really complicated problem. I didn't really realize until I started thinking about it and trying to do it myself. But they've somehow solved it by the looks of it.
And they actually pay attention to that. It is genuinely realistic on that side. Wow. That was one of my questions. I didn't know how much the actual hand mechanic was tied to the actual milk coming. I didn't know how realistic, and you're saying it is realistic. But they don't have, like, how do they calibrate their, if you have a real world keyboard, how do they calibrate again? Are they calibrating against that? Is there something
Yeah, I think they're probably using AR keys to detect it.
And that's like it's called Piano AR, you said?
Yeah,
or
that's the
AR
one.
Piano?
AR Pianist, I think, is the
AR
the
Pianist.
iPhone app.
Oh my god.
It's
an iPhone app.
Yeah, I'll send you a link if you've not already seen it. It's amazing. It really is incredible.
I don't have an iPhone, unfortunately.
Do you have an iPad or unfortunately?
Yeah, there's an iPad.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. It's really impressive.
Does it need the LiDAR? Do you need like the
No, I think it's better with. But
I mean, I don't know if I can do anything.
It does work on just a standard iOS, but I think it also.
Have you actually tried it?
Yeah, I've tried it. It's not perfect. You do lose tracking if you move the phone around.
That's interesting.
But it looks impressive. They haven't got that many pieces. They've got maybe 10 different pieces on the app, at least when I tried it last. But what they've done now is they've built this platform, so anyone can put in MIDI or they can put in audio, and they get out a video with like really good rendering.
Yeah, that, to me, that's what I did see. I saw what they had on YouTube and things, and just the fact they can take somebody sends them a sound clip of whatever fill in the blank piano music, and it comes back with a version of this that's playing it.
The thing I saw as well is they've taken historical recordings from I think from the 20s or the 30s, really old recordings.
That's Domino and all that stuff.
Yeah. And they've just recreated the performance in 3D based on nothing other than the audio file. It's really amazing.
That's amazing.
Or like a dance
If they had
pad.
other
You know those
sound,
pads with
other
the arrows
bands,
on
if
them?
it wasn't just piano, I wonder how they would.
So you'd
filter
you'd
that out or
have
be
an
affected by it,
accelerometer
for
on
instance, but
on each
so
ankle,
for what they did,
and
yeah,
it would measure the
it's,
tilt angles. So when
it's
you put
real
your foot
interesting.
forward
Have
on the
you
front on the
explored
forward arrow,
also how
it
they
could measure that
approach
tilt
the
angle
learning
and know, hey,
side of
you're
it?
pressing the
Because
forward
you're
button.
a
So
big part
instead
of
of
your
having this big
environment
dance pad
is
with
how to
you,
facilitate
you could just have these
tutors
sensors on your
and
feet,
lessons and
you could do
Yeah.
Are they
DDR.
doing
As far as I
something
know,
similar, or-
they
theoretically,
haven't done anything similar.
and then that could
yet.
translate into your sliders.
That's a really cool idea.
They certainly should do
Yeah,
something
and
similar
you
because
could
it's
translate
Yeah,
into
like
your
slime
sliders,
VRs,
but they seem to be laser focused on
to track
performances.
to track the
They're
feet.
kind of billed as like
and then you
virtual,
could make it an SDK,
pianist.
like an
They
SDK
want
to it or
you to be able
something, or
to,
just open source. Anybody can add
just
to it.
create a
You could
performance
add step
from any angle,
counters
basically.
to it, so people could add whatever they want. I'm sure there's lots of stuff you can do.
Have you reached
if you
out
can
to
measure
them?
steps and
Do
you
they
can
have a
measure where feet
Discord?
are.
Do you something
I've emailed the guy, the main guy. His name's
I mean, if
Fayez, I think.
you ever want to work on
and,
something like
yeah,
that,
I emailed him
that'd be
before and
fun.
I didn't get a response, but I'll probably try again now
Yeah,
because
that'd be
they're
cool.
definitely pushing things much further.
Yeah, we can chat about it later.
Before.
I think that would be a pretty cool collab.
Probably a really
Like,
good guy
I really do want to
have
collab with like as
contact
many
with.
creators as possible, and
Yeah,
like, I think
would
collabing with
imagine,
you would be
especially,
awesome. Like, I'd love to make a video together.
If like, to me, it's the
Yeah,
learning.
I guess it's just a matter of like finding time because I'm gonna be pretty busy while I'm in college. But I am definitely gonna have to keep posting videos.
Germany,
so,
from
you know,
Austria,
I'll try
from
to find
wherever
time for it.
happens to be available, and you
Yeah,
can
no
have
rush,
them playing
and,
with you.
I mean,
in your living room,
give yourself
in
a break.
Los Angeles,
That's,
you know, and
your mental health is
have
super important.
This whole
and I
that,
kind of
that
feel
to
like
me
a lot
is
of people
really
don't
the
take that
connection
seriously.
capability your app offers.
Not to say
I
that
think
you
is-
aren't, but
is
it can really
I
get
think
away
that's
from you.
where
Like you can forget.
the
I've done
future
it
of
where
lies, you know, is,
I'll be going
being
for
able to have like
I'll be
time
going for
slots
months and then I
booking,
just burn
and
out.
You're the
And
your
fun.
application
Yeah.
is the
I
is
know,
the
I absolutely
environment that
agree.
facilitates
Like working
that
a full-time job
transaction,
and
you
doing
know?
a project like this
And
is really hard. You know, the VR glove
There
company
are so
that
many
was here
different angles
during the
that I've been
expo,
debating, and
Contact CI.
I think that is the one I keep coming back
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
the,
yeah.
the kind of idea for
You and I
lessons
were
and
asking
performances
questions.
across.
I brought up how it'd be
oceans
cool
and
to
the world.
make
Yeah.
robots.
And you just your site is just the
So,
you
I
connecting
actually work for
a
them.
player
Like-
and an
It's
observer
funny
or
coincidence.
a lesson or a
yeah,
training,
they like
you know?
hired me for an internship
Yeah,
like
yeah,
back in
just to
March. So
facilitate
I've been
it,
working for them full time and then working on my own gloves. like for this entire time.
I'm gonna have to head off. I'm afraid my my headset's about to run out of batteries.
I've had like nights where I stayed up until like 4 a.m. because like I worked the first half of the day on work, and then the second half of the day on my stuff.
And happy birthday, Michael! There you popped up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Our headsets are dying.
You're still falling through the floor. So that's
I know. We'll fix it. We will fix it. I promise.
Please try.
Yeah. You too, though.
That's like the next
Duke
Nukem.
I
There will be a next Duke Nukem
prioritize
game.
it.
Oh my gosh.
They made a new Half-Life.
And
miracles do happen.
I could go on and on, but I don't.
I still want to read
I
a
don't
book
think
that
this is going to
somebody
make me
writes
any
about that
happier.
experience.
Like I'm not doing this because I think
how they
once I get it
slowed
done, I'll be
that
happier or
development
something like
must
that.
have been,
So I don't have that motivation.
funny
I'm
story.
doing this because it's fun, like in the moment, and something to do.
I mean, they
and
made a
hopeful,
follow-up, but
there's a lot of stuff
wasn't
in the
really that
past
good.
that I did because I
Yeah,
thought
took
it would make me
X
happier.
years,
There's
and
a lot
I
of
don't know.
goals
The
I
other
had in the
people-
past.
The other one people talk about is
and
the
they end
space
up
space